over Team USA. It was Mike Trout versus Shohei Ohtani in the final at-bat. Trout was struck out by his Los Angeles Angels teammate, Ohtani, to end the tournament. And Jerry Stackhouse and the Vanderbilt Commodores are back in action this evening in the quarterfinal of the NIT. The Commodores will take on UAB at 6 p.m. You can tune in on 93.3 Classic Hits. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
A gun performance.
Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It was pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook Sports. It's great to be back. D-Mase, Willy Donick, how we doing?
Hey, we're doing pretty good. It's great to have you back.
Good to be
Doing
back.
well. Glad to be back home, too. Little
You brought
couple
this
days
rain.
up in the
You
Empire
brought the bad
State. Yeah.
weather. I'm blaming it on you, Willie.
It needs to clear up by this afternoon. We got a little high school baseball we need to get in today.
This show's just been all over the
Exactly.
place
Yeah.
now, haven't we? Nick Keiser is here as well. Nick, how we doing?
We are well rested, you and I both, but I'm glad to be here.
Happy to have you back, Nick. So we will have Jonathan Hutton joining us in 1 hour, as he always does on Wednesdays. We'll get his thoughts on the recent moves with the Titans. But I was out over the weekend. I was on a beach trip with my family, thinking, it'll be a good weekend to just unplug, not think about things for a little bit, enjoy spending time with my family on the beach. But I was haunted the entire weekend because I couldn't stop thinking about the conversations that we were having on Friday about Kevin Byard. The Titans asked him to take a pay cut. He said, no, I'm not going to take a pay cut. And I'm thinking about the discussions that we've had about Derrick Henry, the Titans shopping Derrick Henry, the conversations that the Titans have had with Jeffrey Simmons, even going all the way back last year when Jeffrey Simmons said, they want to pay me, but they don't know how they're going to pay me. Just all of these conversations about the star players for the Tennessee Titans and conversations that we've been having for months and months and months now, starting with Ryan Tannehill's contract, Jeffrey Simmons' contract, Derrick Henry getting quote-unquote shopped, Kevin Byard being asked to take a pay cut, and all of this stuff I just couldn't stop thinking about. Why?
First of all, did you honestly think during March Madness you could just have a nice, relaxing weekend at the beach without having some kind of sports excitement? This is March we're talking about.
Absolutely not, because I watched plenty of March Madness while I was away, and it was a lot of fun. It was a good time to be able to watch those games with my dad. But I just kept thinking about it, and I couldn't get away from it. And I was like, look at me, I'm sitting on the beach, and I'm thinking about Kevin Byard's contract. Why are the Titans asking all of these players either to take pay cuts? Why are they shopping Derrick Henry? Why are they telling Jeffrey Simmons that they're not going to be, that they don't know how they're going to be able to pay them? And of course, that was under the John Robinson regime, so things may have changed. But I keep asking myself, why? Is the money not there? Do they not want to spend money? Like, does Amy Adams Strunk look at the stadium deal coming up in the next few years and say, okay, well, I need to save my money for that? And to that I say, well, that's not very good ownership if you're prioritizing the new stadium over paying your players and being competitive right now, which is what Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon has said that they want to do. Is the money not there?
I'm not going to say that the money isn't there.
And I don't know that for sure,
yeah,
but I'm just trying to rationalize.
I think they have
things in my head.
money to do the things that they want to do and necessarily need and need to do. But this team is not going to, because it's not like this was 2 years ago or 3 years ago where the team 3 years ago, it was almost right there. It was maybe they were a few players away. Then they went and got those players. And then they thought, okay, we're one more player away. And what do? They go get Julio Jones and they spend that money. So they thought, okay, by spending this money, and frankly, I believe a lot of NFL teams think this way when when they are at that point where they've built, because if you look at what the Titans have done systematically, let's just say since right before Vrabel has gotten there, they went and got core players, guys that they thought and believed could lead this franchise to, the promised land, so to speak, the Super Bowl. And each year, through the draft and through free agency, they added these guys. And they built up their defense, which was one of the worst in the National Football League, to one of the best. And then they started operating on the offensive side of the ball based upon their identity and who they are as a franchise. They are a hard-nosed, run-based team. That's just who they are. They've always been that way, at least since, I've been associated with the organization. So they built it slowly that way. They went and got the offensive line, so to speak. They went and got their running back. They thought they had their quarterback in Marcus Mariota. They come to find out they didn't. So they had to not necessarily reset, but had to sort of retool that one position, the quarterback position. So what did they do? They go out and they paid to get Ryan Tannehill. That was a big payment for them. Why? Because they thought that, okay, if we get that quarterback that can not lose us game, but win us games, we got Derrick Henry in the backfield. This offensive line is growing. They're getting better. Our defense is getting where it's supposed to be, where we believe it should be. Now all we have to do is sort of add pieces, spend money and add pieces, because a lot of these guys were on their first contract. And that's what they did. They spent the money to go get, Julio Jones. They spent the money to go get a Bud Dupree later on. And when it didn't work, they had to reset again. And they're going to do what they did the first time. They're not going to go out and spend a bunch of money. They're going to do this systematically so they can have a longer period of winning instead of having this short period like i.e. the LA Rams. They went all in. They got their Super Bowl. Look what's going on with them right now.
Rough.
It's rough for them. The Titans don't want to go down that route. Each opportunity they've had, whether it be a Super Bowl, AFC Championship game, they built their team through the draft and bringing in solid free agents, whether it was the year we went to the Super Bowl and ultimately, again, the AFC Championship game, to when they had the number one seed, when they were, with CJ and all those guys, they built it through the draft. And then even this situation that they're in now, they built through the draft and they added free agency. They added the guys from in a sense, they didn't overpay for a lot of guys, in a sense. But when they figured, hey, listen, we are at least one or two guys away, then they spent the money. And it didn't work. So now they're starting all over again. And they're going to build through the draft and through free agency. They're not going to pay, an enormous amount of money to bring in free agents. They're building this team so, in the next few years, they're going to be a contending team. I believe that's how they look at it.
I think we've been hitting on this really for the last few weeks as the picture has become clearer. We asked the question from the start, is this a team that can win the AFC next year, even if they run it back? I think especially with the holes they have, the money they have to spend in the cap, it's clear that they're better off retooling. And I think that's what's happening here. I don't think it's a matter of, being cheap or anything like that. I do think it's going to be probably more difficult for them than some franchises to get the cash flow for Jeffrey Simmons, which is definitely the priority for everything. But I don't think we should be surprised. This is just father time. This is reality. Like you said, Derek, this goes in cycles. And when you have a 30-year-old safety, a 29-year-old running back making the salary cap hit they have, those contracts have to be addressed. They've got tough choices ahead. I think we probably should have realized this earlier. I think we've been sort of coming to this conclusion gradually, but I think most people that are seeing what's happening here, you just look where you are in the grand scheme and you ask yourself, do we have the horses here? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is no, then you're better off doing what they're doing here, or what it looks like they're doing.
And the amount of money, or I guess not a ton of money that they have spent in free agency, that to me is not a surprise. I think we talked about that going into free agency is let's not expect any massive blockbuster moves that are going to be at the bottom of the marquee on SportsCenter. There's not going to be a Julio Jones-esque kind of trade that just sends shockwaves throughout the NFL. The Titans just weren't going to go do that. They weren't going to go get Orlando Brown in free agency. They weren't going to go get some of these really high cap hit, recognizable names in free agency. And I think we all kind of knew that, understood that, and honestly, we're okay with it. I thought that was the smartest thing for the Titans to do. Quit overpaying for free agents. Like you said, build your team through the draft, supplement your team through free agency. I think that's the smartest way that a football team can be built. And in college, it's the same way. Build your team through recruiting, and then you add via the transfer portal. But what I don't get is the pinching of the pennies for the contracts that are already on the books. Pinching of the pennies for the salaries for players that have been consistently contributing for this football team. I look at Derrick Henry and Kevin Byard. You're shopping Derrick Henry. Why? You say he's too expensive. Okay, but Derrick Henry has been a cornerstone for your organization. You ask Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. Well, Kevin Byard has been consistently available for this football team almost throughout the entirety of his career. He has been consistently producing for this football team. He is a consistent leader in this locker room. Those are two guys that are, when you think of the Tennessee Titans, you think of Derrick Henry and Kevin Byard and their attitudes and how tough they are and how they will do anything to win football games. So it's not as much about not spending money in free agency. I'm cool with that. But what is it? What are they trying to get to? What number are they trying to get down to that they are asking to take pay cuts, or they're shopping around Derrick Henry to get those salaries off the books? What are they saving money for?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. And, you know, I guess we will find out as the offseason continues to go and as the season goes, and ultimately what they do around this time next year. But to me, it has nothing to do with the player. It just doesn't. And, you know, every team comes to this realization with a guy that has been with their organization for a long time. It's, okay, he has a high, it's not necessarily even cap number. He has a high number that we have to pay him, monies that we have to pay him during the season, yeah. $13, $14, $15 million. And they're just looking at it from the standpoint of, okay, yes, this player has been wonderful for us. Yes, he's been a leader in our room. But, you know, the bottom line is the bottom line. You see it every day in the working world where people are getting fired and then replaced by cheaper labor. That's just how it is. And don't think that the NFL or the NBA or NHL or MLB, they're immune to it. They do the same things, but we just look at it totally different. It's what makes sense for that organization. And if they're asking a guy to take a pay cut, then there's a reason why they're asking him to take a pay cut. They're not going to tell us the necessary reason. But
it's obvious. It's obvious. Kevin Byard has never played at 19.6. This will be by far the highest. Yeah, they've pushed the pile back. They've kicked the can down the road, as Teron said. Yep. And so the bill is due. That's way too much money. That's way too much money for a 30-year-old safety. Same thing with Derrick Henry. They kicked the can down the road last year, 16.3. He's never played at 16.3. He's 29. According to SpotRec, they have $6.5 million against the cap. That's all the space they have. There's still a lot of holes to be filled. They haven't drafted anybody yet. They haven't signed Simmons yet. They got to get those numbers down somehow. They don't have enough money. They're up against the cap.
And I understand the whole thing of, you know, whether you believe the cap is a definite cap or hard cap. You don't believe in a cap. You can finagle the cap or whatever.
Well, it's when do you want to pay the bill? That's what it is.
Exactly. It's there. You're going to eventually have to pay it regardless. So whether you continue to kick it down the road, Rand is probably thinking, like, listen, if I was the GM last year, I wouldn't have done this because I know eventually as the player get older, if we keep on kicking the can down the road, it's going to come back and bite us eventually. So if we can lower the number now, keep them, that'll be better for us. May not necessarily be better for Kevin Byard or Derrick Henry in regards to the monies they were owed, but it's better for the organization, and that's all they care about. What's good for the organization? Yes. What's the bottom line for the organization? They love him as a player, you know, but it's what's good for the organization moving forward. That's basically what it is. And if they feel that Kevin Byard taking a pay cut is what's good for the organization, then they're going to come to him and ask him to take a pay cut. Last year, when they reworked the contract, they thought it was best for them to rework it, give him some money up front, and push it down the line. Okay, that what was best for the organization. It turned out to be good for the player, but they weren't looking at it from that standpoint. They were looking at it from the standpoint of what's best for the organization moving forward.
Because they were in a window to win, and now I'm not sure they are in the window to win. So it might be better to pay the bill.
Yeah, you got to pay it.
Because Kevin Byard already restructured his contract twice, or it already was.
That's why it's 19.6.
Restructured twice.
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah, John Robinson kicked it and kicked it and kicked it, and D-Mase, to your point, they kicked it down the line because they were in a window to win, so they could go out and get the Julio Joneses and go out and get the pieces to help them win right away. So now they're at the point where Kevin Byard does have a big cap hit, yes, but how important is Kevin Byard to your football team? Because you can restructure things around and you can create cap space. And if your priority is keeping Kevin Byard in this football team, they can do that. Now, if they don't want to, that's a completely different story. But I keep wondering, okay, what are they saving for? What are they opening up money for? The cap is absolutely on the table. But could they be saving money or opening up space to bring in a massive signing? We'll get into that coming up next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025-1063 The Game.
Every Wednesday at noon.
That fits the mentality of what they're going to do.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase to talk all things Titans and NFL.
Much more creative in how you go about calling certain plays.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
That doesn't mean that you can't have great or don't need great quarterback play.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Time to tell you about Lee Company, a very exciting win for the Predators last night. The young guys did it again. Luke Evangelista with 4 points in the second period. Tommy Novak, Phil Tomasino, also really good performances. A couple of big home games coming up this week. 3, as a matter of fact, 2 against the Seattle Kraken. Starting tomorrow night, Lee Company will be the title sponsor of our pregame radio show, which will start at 6 o'clock tomorrow in Smashville. Lee Company also has all of your needs ready. If you've got a maintenance issue, maybe some bad weather, the wind, got some branches down, you got a fence down, maintenance is always something Lee Company is ready to help you with. Just keep their phone number ready and handy, 615-567-1000, or make an online appointment at leecompany.com. Same thing goes for you at work. They can hit your business up with general maintenance, 615-567-1000, or leecompany.com. It's Lee Company. Let their decades of expertise go to work for you. They are a proud sponsor of the Nashville Predators.
It's the Electronic Express Famous Half Price Fair. This week only, save up to 50% in every department, including all 4K TVs, appliances, laptops and tablets, speakers, and more. You'll not find a lower price anywhere. We guarantee it. The Famous Half Price Fair. It's first come, first served. Sale ends Saturday at 9 p.m. Hurry into any of our convenient locations. Plus, get up to 3 years free financing. The Electronic Express Famous Half Price Fair ends this Saturday at 9 p.m.
Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Replace your old unit fast before new regulations increase prices up to 20%. Get a new unit today at today's price and receive up to $1,500 off, or get 18 months of no payments so the first payment is not until summer of 2024. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Schedule your appointment now at springhillac.com. That's springhillac.com.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and season tickets for the Preds 2023-24 season are on sale now. Preds will be celebrating their 25th anniversary throughout next season. Full half and quarter season plans are available, and you can join the Loyal Legion today and receive the best seat locations at the best pricing and up to 50% off discounts on concessions throughout the season and more. Plus priority access to the 2023 NHL Draft and Awards, which are hosted right here in Nashville coming up this summer. Check it out at NashvillePredators.com/season tickets.
This week's Nashville's best deal is Eastside Bowl in Madison, a vintage bowling alley, music venue, diner, lounge, and arcade designed by locals for locals. And March 28th, don't miss the Battle of Nashville, Nashville's best Rage Against the Machine tribute band. Right now, you can get 2 hours of bowling plus shoe rentals for up to 6 people for just $45. That's 2 hours of bowling plus shoes for up to 6 people, just $45. Go to thegamenashville.com/deals to get yours now.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Nice run. It's great being back out on the mountain. You sort of disappeared for a while. Everything okay? Between you and me, it was lower testosterone. Lower T? Yeah. The doc told me once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to stay in shape. That's why I started taking Nugenix Total T. It's made a huge difference. Oh, I've seen that on TV. Is it for real? For sure. It's the #1 doctor-recommended testosterone booster. It boosts free and total testosterone levels to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. My wife, my boss, my kids, everyone has noticed a change in me. Do they still give out complimentary bottles for people to try for themselves?
Yes. Just send them a text.
Guys, text HATCH to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone brand at GNC and Walmart. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back in shape fast, absolutely free. Text HATCH to 321-321. That's HATCH to 321-321.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The Preds have a game tomorrow night, and it is your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click, brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty and Superbook Sports. If you correctly guess a Predators player that scores a goal in the game tomorrow night, then you will win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Participate in Pick to Click tomorrow morning at 8:45 a.m. with Robbie and Rexroad. So I know that Titans fans have felt very, concerned or nervous about the state of the franchise and where it's in, because there has been very nerve-wracking news that has come out over the last few weeks about Jeffrey Simmons and the contract negotiations, that they were shopping Derrick Henry, and now the latest news that they asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. So I keep asking myself, what are they saving the money for? They currently are under the cap. They can make other moves to make themselves even more under the cap to, fill the holes that they currently have. So I keep asking, what are they saving money for? Is it simply to just, kick it down the line and build for the future? Or is there a big time signing coming down the line in the next couple of weeks? Is there going to be a massive move that the Titans are going to make for the 2023 season? Now, I don't think so. I never thought that they were going to. I thought it was going to be a fairly modest offseason for the Tennessee Titans, until I heard Jeremy Fowler on SportsCenter earlier this week. This was Jeremy Fowler.
So what's happening now behind the scenes?
The teams have to contact him directly if they want to negotiate. Yeah. And it's my understanding that the NFL Management Council provides his information to all 32 teams. So they got his cell phone, his office phone, whatever it is, they can contact him. So right now there's no real firm offer sheet for Lamar Jackson that I'm aware of. Teams are probably slow playing this. The draft could be a good indicator, because you have a team like, say, the Colts at number 4. If they feel like they can't get the quarterback of the future they want in the draft, maybe they pivot to Lamar Jackson. The Jets, should they strike out with Aaron Rodgers? Certainly that's not expected, but they could pivot. And then you got some wild cards like a Tennessee or a New England, teams that like to run the ball. You never know.
Okay, there you go. There's Jeremy Fowler of the weekend on SportsCenter about Lamar Jackson's potential next landing spot. Now, I never, ever thought the Titans would be players for Lamar Jackson. There's just too many boxes that need to be checked, too much that you have to give up in order to get Lamar Jackson. But that was Jeremy Fowler saying a wild card team could be Tennessee. Now, I don't think that the Titans are players for Tennessee, for Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. But your thoughts?
No chance.
Yeah,
zero.
They're not going to go down that road of getting Lamar Jackson. Not because of the talent of the player, because I believe he's an extreme talent. And I'm not with this notion that he can't play. There has to be a specific system that he plays in. Hell no. The kid knows how to throw the football. Just give him some weapons around him. They say that about Jalen Hurts, and look what happened. I mean, just put some weapons around him, and let him, and away you go. So I'm not going to prescribe to, he only fits in a certain system. They're not going to do it because it's just too much money. He wants guaranteed money. And the Titans already are looking at guys that are on their roster and asking them to take pay cuts. What makes you think then they got to pay Jeffrey Simmons? And more than likely, hopefully, it'll be, within the next month or so, 2 months. So they got to pay Jeffrey Simmons. You think they're going out, and as they may love Lamar Jackson, but they don't love that they would potentially have to pay him, upwards of $200 million guaranteed or close to it, and give up draft picks. They're not doing that.
No chance.
It wasn't there. They didn't draft him, I could see if they had drafted him, then maybe they would be in a better position to figure out, okay, should we keep him or should we not? What do we do as a franchise? But they didn't draft him. This is not their guy. So they're not going to go out and give up 2 draft picks, first rounds, and pay him upwards of $200 million, all guaranteed. They love the talent. I'm sure every club loved the talent, but they don't love that they would have to essentially give up 2 first-round draft picks and pay you. I don't care if this was Joe Burrow. I don't care if it was anybody other than Patrick Mahomes. They're not in the business of giving up 2 first-rounders and paying you guaranteed $200+ million. Now, if there was no guarantee involved in here, then maybe there's a likelihood of a lot of teams would still be involved in this. But even the great ones besides Patrick Mahomes, and even Patrick Mahomes to an extent, some teams will pull out like, man, that's too rich for our blood. So they may love the talent of Lamar Jackson, but they don't love the price that would come with having to get him on this team. 2 first-round draft picks and pay him all that money.
It'd be a total waste of time and energy because you'd have to put a poison pill. You'd have to overpay so that the Ravens wouldn't match the offer. If you give him a reasonable offer for what he's worth,
Ravens will match it. You've just wasted whatever time you had putting that together.
If you overpay him, then you've overpaid him. You're guaranteed money to a guy that is who he is. He's an excellent player. So it's got nothing to do with him, the player. It's overpaying for anybody. You don't want to do that, especially a quarterback. And you're giving up 2 first-round picks. And, oh, by the way, Ryan Tannehill is still under contract. You got to do something with him. We just got done talking about where they are in the universe right now in the AFC and where they are with their salary cap. I have no idea what Jeremy Fowler is smoking. So let's again go back to SportsCenter's got airtime to fill. They're talking football. Who are the teams? Oh, the Titans like to run the ball. So let's throw the Titans in the list. That's not a report. That's not talking to the Titans people and saying, yeah, we got an interest. We're going to make a move for Lamar Jackson. That's just throwing a team out into the space and not having it challenged. There is zero chance, that the Titans will go after Lamar Jackson. He's going to end up on the Ravens.
I didn't think there was any shot either.
Zero.
I didn't think the Titans would be willing to put forward what it would take to get Lamar Jackson. And to be honest with you, I don't think that there is a single team of 31 teams that don't have Lamar Jackson currently under contract that would be willing to put forth the money in order to get Lamar Jackson. The Jets might be the only one, if and only if things with Aaron Rodgers fall through and they're scrambling and they're thinking we got our whole fan base excited about the quarterback of the next couple of years, an elite quarterback, and we're just going to have to bite the bullet and offer Lamar Jackson $200 million guaranteed. That is the only way that I see Lamar Jackson not going back to the Ravens. But whenever I see bookies.com, which to be completely honest, no disrespect to bookies.com, never heard of it
before.
What
are they doing?
All of this.
That makes zero sense what they put out there.
The Titans have the second best odds to land Lamar Jackson, second only to the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens have plus 225 odds.
Sucker bet.
The Titans have plus 400. For it to be that close, it has 20% better odds than any other team in the NFL to land Lamar Jackson. So I'm wondering, is there any juice to that? Or is that simply just, the Titans run the ball and might not be totally happy with Ryan Tannehill moving forward, so they're looking for their next quarterback to run the ball with?
You know why they are – the odds are what they are. Because if you look, hell, I would have thought that, the Commanders odds would be higher than the Titans, seeming they're right down the street from Baltimore. Daniel Snyder would probably love to stick it to the Ravens if he can try to get Lamar, because he's selling the team anyway. So he get Lamar, he's gone. So why isn't, and then Washington needs a quarterback, and they're not high enough in the draft to pick their future quarterback. So why wouldn't they make a run at Lamar Jackson? So to me, teams like, Carolina, potentially, the Commanders, they should be much higher than what the Tennessee Titans are. I don't get it, but it goes back to this perception of, and listen, I don't blame them, because the Ravens set up this offense, more so of a run-based offense with the quarterback having the ability to run and everything else. So he only played within the offense that was designed for him to play in. Not to say he can't play in another offense. That's like saying, just because you played in San Francisco's type of offense, you can't then go to another offense and be productive as a receiver. That's an asinine statement to me. It's like, I've only played in this offense, not that I can't play in another offense. It's just, I've been here my whole career, So if I do go to another offense, then maybe things change. Maybe it doesn't. But to just assume that, just because this offense is vastly different from the offense that he's running, he can't, I'm not going to pin him to another team, because I'm only going to pin him to teams that are run-based teams. To me, that's a lazy way of trying to throw teams in there, because there's really not a team other than the Baltimore Ravens.
And it's funny because that's not even what Ryan Tannehill does.
Exactly.
He's not. I don't think Ryan Tannehill, run-first quarterback.
Exactly.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. D-Mase, you bring a fair point about Lamar Jackson and the system that would come with him. So I don't think the Titans are going to get Lamar Jackson. I don't think either of you think that the Titans are going to get Lamar Jackson. It's because of the list, the checklist of all the boxes that you would have to check off in order to go get Lamar Jackson and then bring Lamar Jackson into the system. And we'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hi, I'm Yusi Saros. And this is Smashville.
Now here's a try off to the side. What a stop made by UC Saros there.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Let's tell you about Lone Pronto, and just heard UC Saros talking a little Predators. Last week in Smashville, it was Military Salute Week. And so speaking of that, Lone Pronto wants you to know, if you have a VA loan, in this housing market, homeowners with VA loans have access to a ton of instant cash. So this could be a financial move you're looking for if you are a veteran. Lone Pronto is helping veterans every day get the money that they need with a quick and easy zero-cost cash-out refi with zero closing costs. With a VA loan, it's really cool because you can access up to 100% of your home's value. 100%. Then you can use that money to pay off credit cards, home equity lines, car loans, consolidate all your payments into one check per month, and you can close in 2 weeks. Most homeowners who do this end up cutting their overall monthly payments by $800. So that's a good budgetary move. So call Lone Pronto, find out more about it. Plus, it's an all-digital process. It's very fast, and it's very easy. They're doing loans with super low APRs right now. They love working with veterans. So call right now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. One more time, 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Have you seen the selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches they now have at Genesis Diamonds? If not, prepare to be amazed.
If people really know the watch world, they come in and they're in shock. They're like, I cannot believe you have this selection here. They're able to see them, touch them, feel them.
Meet Genesis watch expert Charlie Rivers, who says over the past few years, Genesis buyers have scoured the world to build a collection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes, including all the hard-to-find models.
Daytonas, Pandas, Sky Dwellers, a huge selection of Submariners, Hulks, Kermits, anything that you could ever possibly want. We have every luxury pre-owned Rolex that we have here. We ensure that it's in pristine condition.
So come in today and find the timepiece of your dreams at Genesis. Or if you already own a Rolex and are looking to trade for a different model or even sell it, Genesis can help you get top dollar.
If you have a Rolex, definitely bring it in. I would love to see it and do a complimentary evaluation on it and see what we can do for you.
Genesis Diamonds, now with one of the largest selections of luxury pre-owned Rolexes in America. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Cards issued by Celtic Bank, member FDIC.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 3.5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Hey, it's Jared for Hiller. Sometimes replacing equipment in your home can be overlooked until something breaks. But there's actually big problems that can come from outdated old vintage HVAC systems. Older systems require more maintenance and results in higher utility bills. This month during Hiller's Vintage Showdown, they're giving away a free HVAC system to the owner of the oldest unit. It's easy to enter. Just go online to happyhiller.com and submit a picture of your old unit. Everybody wins with a trade-in credit and 0% interest financing for up to 48 months on replacement. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
When you want live and local,
If they were just better at the offensive line.
You can be a contender in the AFC again.
They've had more winning seasons than not.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game has you covered. Looking for some national programming?
Why do I want to get a running back like that 5 more years? The AFC now is so deep at quarterback.
Check out 94.9 The Fan. Nashville's home for all things sports is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
Hey Nashville, this is Gary Bettman. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
So what's happening now behind the scenes?
The teams have to contact him directly if they want to negotiate. And it's my understanding that the NFL Management Council provides his information to all 32 teams. So they got his cell phone, his office phone, whatever it is, they can contact him. So right now there's no real firm offer sheet for Lamar Jackson that I'm aware of. Teams are probably slow playing this. The draft could be a good indicator because you have a team like, say, the Colts at number 4. If they feel like they can't get the quarterback of the future they want in the draft, maybe they pivot to Lamar Jackson. The Jets, should they strike out with Aaron Rodgers? Certainly that's not expected, but they could pivot. And then you got some wild cards like a Tennessee or a New England, teams that like to run the ball. You never know.
There you go. That was Jeremy Fowler on SportsCenter. Says, I don't know, a wild card team for Lamar Jackson could be the Tennessee Titans.
I swear I was listening to an episode of Family Guy. He sounds just like, what is it, Griffin? The dad. It's just like he sounds just like, yeah, Peter. He sounds just like him. I asked Nicholas, I'm like, God, dude. And he told me, I'm like, yes, he sounds just like him. So there you go.
Well, as soon as I heard him say that, I thought, you are crazy. Because there's no way. I just do not see a way that the Titans could be interested in Lamar Jackson. I see what way they would be interested, but I don't see how it could ever come to fruition. But I don't want to just say, nope, not happening. Let's walk through it. So
I will.
Okay.
It's not happening.
It's not happening. But let's walk through it. I made a checklist for what I think the Titans would have to check, all the boxes they would have to check in order to be willing to go after Lamar Jackson. I made this list. You please let me know if you think that I forgot anything. First and foremost, be willing to pay him the money. It started off as a guaranteed contract, and then Mike Florio reported that, no, he's no longer looking for a fully guaranteed contract, but I think he's looking for at least more than Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray had $190 million guaranteed. I think you would have to guarantee Lamar Jackson probably $200 million over 4 or 5 years. Would the Titans be willing to pay the money? I say no. If you're not going to pay Kevin Byard, Derrick Henry, you're not going to pay Lamar Jackson.
But remember, factor in, it's got to be so much more than the Ravens are willing to match.
That's another thing.
Yeah, you would have to overpay.
If it's just right in there, and that's because that really sounds to me like his market value. The Ravens say, hey, guys, thanks for doing the negotiation. Match.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah, we'll give you the
Thanks
same
for doing the
Lamar.
work.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think all the Ravens are looking for is to find somebody that's not going to guarantee him $240 million.
Sure.
And I don't think any team would be willing
But no
to
one's
do that.
going to no one's going to do Baltimore that favor.
No.
Yeah.
Why would you? They're not helping the Ravens out.
No, they're not going to do it.
No. So I would say, Willie, that's a very fair point. Whatever the Titans or whatever it would take to make it even an attractive offer to Lamar Jackson, the Ravens are just going to match it and say, great, okay, that our work is done. So no on the money. 2, be willing to trade the picks. If you think that Lamar Jackson is your quarterback of the future, you can trade 2 first-round picks for it. I don't think that this Titans team is constructed in a way that they can just willy-nilly throw first-round picks away. I think that those picks are going to be so vital to building this team up moving forward. So if I'm the GM of the Titans, I say no, I'm not willing to trade the picks.
No, 2 first-round picks. The Jets are not even giving up 2 first-round picks for Aaron Rodgers, I don't believe.
No.
And they got to pay him. They would have to pay him the remainder as we sit now, unless, Green Bay takes over some of the contract. But they would have to pay him the remainder of the money that's left on his contract, which is guaranteed. But they're not giving up 2 first-round draft picks. I just think in this day and age, teams are not willing to give up that much, even if it's that quarterback. Again, besides Patrick Mahomes, y'all can throw up all these other quarterbacks. They ain't won no Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes have. Okay, y'all can throw up Joe Burrow. I love Joe Burrow, but he hadn't won a Super Bowl. I love all these other quarterbacks, Josh Allen, but they hadn't won Super Bowls, okay? So if you hadn't won a Super Bowl, I'm not going to, as good as you are, I'm not going to give up that much and then have to pay you that much. I can do one or the other. Either I can give up the first rounders and not have to pay you as much, which you're not going to like, or I can pay you that much and not give up the picks, which the team is not going to like. So there's not if you are Lamar and the Ravens, both of y'all are in bad position right here. Because teams are not going to help you. They're not going to work out the contract just for you to come in, like Willie said, and say, thank you, Titans or whoever.
We'll take
here
it from
you go,
here.
Lamar. We'll take it from here. Teams are not going to do that. And then the Ravens are not willing to give Lamar the guarantee money that he's potentially asking for.
I think it's a brilliant move by the Ravens. There's a reason they went down this road. It doesn't usually happen, and that's why I think the media is all over it. But the reality is the Ravens know that he's going to come back and be their quarterback. It's pretty simple.
Pretty much.
Unless somebody goes bonkers. It does something ridiculous, giving up the 2 picks
Cleveland
and overpaying. They do. That's the only thing. And I think the Ravens will feel better about their relationship with Lamar and say, Lamar, okay, if you think you can go get that Deshaun Watson deal, okay, we'll be at the end of the day. That is what you think you're worth. And if somebody's willing to pay you that, then that's all right. But we're not willing to do that.
People have to understand.
And at the end of the day, they'll say, Lamar, you tested the market, you didn't get it. Come on back home. We want you, and we'll pay you handsomely.
It has nothing to do with Lamar Jackson. Nothing whatsoever. He's not a bad young man.
No.
He's done everything. He
Yes.
came out and played under that 1-year
They
deal.
want him to be their
all
quarterback.
of these people that are trying to sort of, is he a bad guy? No,
No.
he's far from that.
They
This
want
kid-
him.
They love him, but I've been a part of that organization. I understand some of the things that they do. They are going to allow him, which is great. They're going to allow him to test the market. Go ahead. We want you here. But if you feel this is how much you're worth, then go ahead, test the market. That it's not saying that we don't want you because we're allowing you to test the market, but go and test the market.
It's a business
exactly,
decision.
and see what the market says. And if the market says you are worth X amount of dollars, then okay. It's not that the Ravens don't like him. It's not that this is a unfamiliar practice of the Baltimore Ravens, because it is. This is what they do, whether they love you or not. They allow you. They give the player exactly what they want in a sense. Go and test the market. We want you. Go and test the market and see what the market says. And then come back to us if you want to be here.
I think it's very smart and very well played by the Baltimore Ravens because they were at a standstill and Lamar Jackson felt disrespected by the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, okay, you think that there's somebody else that's giving you what you want? Go find it. Good luck. And we will be here and we will welcome you back with welcome arms if and when you don't find that contract that you were looking for. So I say if I'm the Titans, no on the money and no on the picks. But I think the biggest and most important question is what we will address coming up next. Plus, I see your phones lining up. We'll are right to those coming up next as well. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025-1063 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Hey, it's Jared. Are you looking to move? If so, do yourself a favor and reach out to my friends at TriStar Moving. You can be assured your move will be stress-free because they've got new utility vans to help with pack jobs to separate your high-value or fragile items from the bulk of your furniture, and their movers are carefully picked and highly trained. No one in the game is doing this. TriStar Moving is raising the standard in the moving industry. When you're ready to move, give them a call. TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, or online at nationalmoving.org/radio, and tell them Jared Stillman referred you for 10% off. That's TriStar Moving.
Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org. Houston Clinic Orthopedics at TriStar Hendersonville Medical Clinic offers world-class orthopedic care. The doctors at this location specialize in hand, knee, shoulder, hip, foot, ankle, and spine, and general orthopedics. They accept walk-in and same-day appointments. Get back to enjoying life. Schedule your appointment online at tn.houston.com or just walk in to Houston Clinic Orthopedics at TriStar Hendersonville Medical Clinic. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
They're insightful.
To me, you got a left guard situation you got to figure out.
Credible.
I trust this guy more than this guy.
But sometimes they just argue.
Why do you like the NFL playoffs? Those teams lose.
I don't want college football to be the NFL.
When they get...
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad are Robbie and Rexroad. Weekdays from 6 to 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I mean, we're 5 to 6 weeks out from the NFL draft, so you don't expect there to be any seismic movement before that. Maybe the draft sort of, like you said, sorts itself out.
There's a feeling in the league that this will be slow and that it's possible that no offer sheet at all comes because of the dynamics of all you have to do to change your offense, the $200+ million in guarantees, 2 first-round picks you got to give up.
Yeah, there was Jeremy Fowler on SportsCenter. He hasn't got an offer sheet, and I think we all agree. I don't think there is going to be one. And if there is going to be one, I would be shocked if the Baltimore Ravens wouldn't be willing to pay more or say, nope, okay, we'll sign you to this deal. We'll go ahead and bring it back.
Well, they don't have to pay more. All they have to do is match it.
Match it, yeah.
So that's why I believe. And look, I'm not an odds maker, but I would say 90%. Look, I've been watching in the NHL, the restricted free agent signing of offer sheets. It happens maybe once every 2 or 3 years. Most of the time, it happened with the Predators and Shea Weber. They match the offer, and the end of story. Very rarely does a team not match the offer sheet, and it's usually because it's something crazy that the other team did.
Right.
But most of the time, it's like, well, thanks for doing the negotiation. We'll remember that you did this and tried to pilfer one of our players.
Right.
But we'll match the offer, and we'll talk to you guys later. So I believe, especially with the precedent of the Deshaun Watson, because that's really the sticking point, that nobody will offer him an offer sheet. I'm very confident that's not going to happen. Nobody's going to offer him an offer sheet.
I think teams, because I think if we are believing what we're hearing, that he wants more than Kyler Murray. I think he understands that whole Deshaun Watson thing was just on a planet of his own. So now I think he realizes that no one's getting that contract that Deshaun got. No one is getting that again. I mean, hell, I don't even think Patrick Mahomes, as good as he is, can get that contract. Now, he will get guaranteed money. He's going to be in Kansas City forever until he chooses not to. But to guarantee him 250 plus, I don't think teams are willing. And I think Lamar understands that. So now it's like, okay, I want more than Kyler Murray, which if you look at it, yeah, he should get more than Kyler Murray.
I would agree with that. Kyler Murray shouldn't even gotten the
money
that
he shouldn't have gotten that. But I'm not going to. Let me rephrase that.
That's the market.
I'm not going to say he shouldn't have gotten it. But that was probably why they did it. I don't know. Maybe because they were in a situation where it's either him or we got to reset this whole thing.
Right.
So to say he shouldn't have gotten it, when you're out there on that field and you're giving up your body and the injuries that can happen, I'm not going to say you shouldn't get what a team's going to give you. But that contract that they gave him was a tough contract for a lot of teams as they're looking at their quarterback to try to match. They're thinking like, oh, man, I don't know if I want to give him more than what Kyler Murray is making.
That's a fair point. I wouldn't have done
that. Yeah, exactly.
In a million years, I never would have done that. So I think it's, the Ravens are in a good point right now. And I think Lamar, you think Lamar understands that he's not going to get the Deshaun money. In the beginning of the negotiations, I don't know if he did understand that, all right? I think he wanted that, and that's why they were at a crossroads. Now that it's been, a week, and Lamar's been on the market, and he's not getting those offers pouring in to give him $230, $240 million guaranteed, I think now he's understanding that, which kind of aligns with the Mike Florio report that he's saying, okay, no, just kidding. No, I don't actually need all of that money guaranteed just to see what other offers come in. But I think the most important part of the checklist for the Titans and any other team in the league that would be interested in putting an offer sheet forward for Lamar Jackson, if that even is going to come to fruition, is Lamar Jackson worth it? Mm-hmm. Is Lamar Jackson a good enough quarterback to guarantee that much money? Because I'm saying I wouldn't have done that with Kyler Murray. I wouldn't have done that with Deshaun Watson. For the kind of quarterbacks that they are and the amount of baggage that Deshaun Watson brought with him, I would not have guaranteed that much money.
Yeah.
I don't think Lamar Jackson is a $200 million guaranteed kind of quarterback. He's finished the last 2 years on the bench with an injury. I think he plays a very specific type of system. I would say Lamar, let's say Aaron Rodgers joins the Jets today. Mm-hmm. I think Lamar Jackson might be the 5th best quarterback in the AFC. I can't guarantee you that much money when you're not one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
I mean, hell, there's only 32 of them. If you got a top 10, well, you better hold on to them. Because if you don't have that top 10 quarterback, you're going to be looking for it for a long time.
That's why he's going to end up on the Ravens.
Exactly.
That's why I think so, too.
So whether from a talent standpoint, he can throw the football, he can run the football, he can do whatever you want him to do. From what I've seen, he's done exactly what the Ravens have wanted him to do. That's win ball games. He's won, 70% of his ball games as a quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens when he's been underneath center. What more do you want? I mean, he's a winner. What more do you want? Now, no, he hasn't. He's won one playoff game. I get that. But, and I've always said this, and if I'm wrong, correct me. And I said this about Ryan Tannehill. Sometimes a quarterback gets too much praise, and sometimes a quarterback gets too much blame. I don't see a damn person talking about Josh Allen and the money he don't deserve. Josh Allen chokes more now since he's gotten that money than he did before. He's made some bad decisions, but nobody jumps on Josh Allen. Why? I don't understand that. Take Stephon Diggs out of that equation. Before Stephon got there, they were wondering, is he really the quarterback? Everybody. But when Stephon got there, they got him some more weapons. He became Josh Allen. And I like Josh Allen. but he's not a top 5 quarterback to me because of the things he has not done. Okay? He has not. This is a team that was supposed, everybody predict would be in a Super Bowl. They were not, and they haven't been. And it's going to be hard for them to get there because they're starting to get older now. And all of that weight now is on Josh Allen's back. He can't do it. Patrick Mahomes can do it. He can't. He needs help. If you surround Lamar Jackson with more weapons, he has a few, but if you get him the weapons that he needs and allow him to just play, you will see more from him as a quarterback than what you have. He's only been in the league 4 years, okay? There are things that we were talking about Trevor Lawrence and how bad he was his first year. And was he worth the pick? All of a sudden, they change coaches, they get him some weapons, and by golly, he looks like the quarterback we thought he was. So why isn't that the case with Lamar Jackson? I don't understand this. This guy is a talent. Every team in the league would love to have a talent like them if you don't have a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow. Them other quarterbacks, other than Aaron Rodgers, them other quarterbacks ain't doing the damn thing. They haven't. I'm just keeping it real.
He has undeniable talent.
You've said it. It's not. This doesn't have to do with Lamar Jackson.
Exactly.
This is the business part of the game. The Ravens, I don't like them, but they're smart. They're smart. This was the smart move. He's going to end up back with the Ravens. It's that simple.
I think it will happen, too. He'll just end up back with the Ravens.
I think he'll end up back with the Ravens.
And guaranteed 150 or $60
They're
million.
just trying to negotiate the best balance of making Lamar Jackson happy with what he gets and getting him for the right market value so they have the resources to build a championship team around him. That's all any team's trying to do.
Yeah, because I think what he has to understand, and I've only seen one, well, now two, but I've only seen, prior to Patrick Mahomes, I've only seen one quarterback do this. And maybe Peyton Manning did it to an extent. I don't know. But there's only one quarterback in the last 10 years, 15, 20 years that has said, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice the dollars because I want to continue to build this team around me. Because I know, yes, I can do it, but it's in order to win a championship, in order to win a Super Bowl, it takes help, a lot of help. Tom Brady was the only guy that says, I deserve, he deserved $40 or $50 million a year. He deserved it. But what did he do? Nope, don't want it. I want championships. So sign this guy, sign that guy, bring this guy in. I want this guy. The money will come. If I win championships, the money will come. Tom Brady was the only guy that did that. Patrick Mahomes seems to be doing it now because they understand. And I believe Joe Burrow would do it too. That's where Lamar Jackson, he got to realize that, yes, the money is great. And, yes, I want him to get as much money as he possibly can. But if you get as much money as you possibly can, guaranteed, that puts the organization at a gridlock now. That puts them in a stranglehold because they can't build the team that they need to build around you because they're paying you X amount of dollars, which you probably deserve. But in order to win a championship, you got to be able to build the team around the quarterback.
Can't do it by yourself.
You can't do it by yourself. Even the great ones, Tom Brady, couldn't do it by himself.
Let's see what Jonathan Hutton thinks about it. He will join us coming up next. Jonathan Hutton, Outkick 360. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Men, this is Evan Bass with the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and I've been helping men with sexual health issues for many years. I've seen the pain and anxiety that men walk into the clinic with when erectile dysfunction is affecting them. And I also know the heartache and difficulty it can bring to their partner. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've been successfully treating men for ED for many years now. We've seen the amazing impacts that those treatments have on a man's confidence and positivity. And we've seen the wonderful things those treatments also do for a man's relationship. That's why I'm pleased to announce that we are now offering the same great services we offer at our Nashville clinic at our new location in Franklin, which will make it much more convenient for those men living south of Nashville to get treated. So call us today and book your appointment at our Midtown location or at our new clinic in Cool Springs. Your first visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatment results vary.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willy Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. It's that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Cards issued by Celtic Bank, member FDIC.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 3.5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. RAMP.com/sports.
Now, your Game Center update.
This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. This is Nick Keyser. The Nashville Predators picked up their first win in 1 week against the Buffalo Sabres yesterday evening. No thanks to a 4-point second period from rookie Luke Evangelista en route to a 7-3 win. Defenseman Dante Fabro on Evangelista being part of the Preds roster.
You can kind of see his game starting to take off a little bit. So it's it's good to kind of see that offensive side of him and kind of see what he brings to the table, and it's obviously exciting to watch.
And Japan won the World Baseball Classic last night 3-2 over Team USA. It was Mike Trout versus Shohei Ohtani in the final at bat. Trout was struck out by his Los Angeles Angels teammate Ohtani to end the tournament. And Jerry Stackhouse and the Vanderbilt Commodores are back in action this evening against UAB in the quarterfinal of the NIT. You can hear the action on 93.3 Classic Hits. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Bobby and Rex Road. Chase and Michelle.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase.
Stone Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
1025 and 1063.
Cranks it, he scores.
On both sides of the ball.
One big possession. Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studio, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook Sports. Jonathan Hutton, Outkick 360, joins us now, as he always does at noon on a Wednesday. Appreciate you for joining us, Hutton. But we are breaking down Jeremy Fowler's appearance on SportsCenter when he said a wild card team for Lamar Jackson could potentially be the Tennessee Titans. Do you see any way the Titans would pursue Lamar?
I would be surprised, Caroline. I think that we're looking as a media group, I'm lumping everyone in here, we immediately go to fit. This offense here would fit Lamar Jackson. I don't think there's an offer, though, that Baltimore's not going to match. But I also would not hesitate to negotiate. And that's the big surprise to me with Lamar Jackson and the rest of the NFL. The Titans can be absolutely included in this. They could cut Tannehill right now and save $18 million on the cap. I'm not saying that they automatically get Lamar Jackson, but there's the ability for teams to make room. And for a league and owners and general managers and head coaches that try to preach this offseason mentality of turning over every stone and looking under every nook and cranny to make our team better, I'm really surprised how quickly they jumped out to tell Rappaport and Schefter within an hour or two that they weren't interested in Lamar Jackson whenever he was available as a non-exclusive franchise player, when this never happens for former MVPs. And we're in the middle of an offseason where 2 MVPs at quarterback are available. There's one suitor for Aaron Rodgers, and right now there's one suitor for Lamar Jackson. One's going to be playing for a different team. The other one's not. And I'm really surprised based on the fact that, again, both of those quarterbacks are significantly better than the majority of the league's quarterbacks right now.
Jonathan Hutton is with us. Why do you think that is? Both with Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson, and considering how quarterback hungry this league is?
I think part of it, Caroline, on behalf of Lamar Jackson, is right now he needs an agent. This is the first time I've really felt that way. I think he's played this last 2 years really well, considering he has not had representation, because he hasn't taken the $111 million guarantee that they gave him a year and a half ago, and the $133 million guarantee right before the season started, and then he cut off all discussion about it whenever the season got rolling. And then Baltimore now has the advantage, because I think the assumption was, I was in this camp, well, they'll tag him twice and he'll get 85 to 90 million guaranteed on the quarterback tag line over 2 years. He's basically going to get what Kirk Cousins received in Minnesota on the first 3 years of his deal, only in 2. And then he's a unrestricted free agent at the age of 28 after those 2 tags. But what Baltimore has done with the non-exclusive tag is they've treated him like the Titans treated Nick Westbrook-Akine. We're not going to tender you. We're going to give you the non-exclusive tag. Have at it. You're going to represent yourself. Have at it. And if you bring an offer back to us, great. If not, we're going to get you playing for $24 million, or you're going to hold out and get fined for it. So this is where I think Lamar, who doesn't talk to the media at all, there's no sources with Lamar Jackson. All the sources are with the Ravens. This is where the agent truly benefits a player, when we're kind of in the no man's land of the offseason and the quarterback is grasping at straws, having random non-representatives of the NFLPA say that he's open for business and he wants out. Well, if you want out, play the cards right. And I think the way to do that right now is with an agent.
Yeah, you are. I can see the road you're traveling down, Hut, and it. Whether I think he's possibly at a point, Lamar, that it's almost, and I think as humans we are this way when we're so dug in on one stance that it's hard for us, even if we see what's in front of us and we see what everyone else is saying, it's hard for us to then backpedal. He probably and I think he started to backpedal a little bit. He probably saw way before the season ended that Deshaun Watson contract isn't attainable. It's not feasible. No team is doing that contract. So he sort of, in a sense, backed off of that from what we understand. But now he wants more than Kyler Murray, which, okay, I can understand that. But the agent part, I think he's put himself possibly in a corner of, okay, I chose not to go with an agent, and I've dug myself in. Now I may have to get an agent, and I really don't want to, because I don't want everyone saying, see, I told you so.
Right. But I would also say that Lamar Jackson represents every NFL player, and not every player. Let me back this up. He represents every quarterback right now for the future, because the owners have dug in and said they're not going to give the Deshaun Watson contract again. They're really upset with Haslam. But some of these owners have the money to do so. And if you look around, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are eligible for extensions right now. You mentioned Kyler Murray. I believe he's making this upcoming season in salary, just money paid to him, $46 million. Above him only exists two quarterbacks, Rodgers and Wilson. And what Lamar was offered, at least reported to be offered, was $133 million, with 68% of that money. It was more than 133. It was 133 guaranteed is what he was offered. That was 68% of the total money that would have been reported in this massive deal with Baltimore, which is what, the team wants to act like is massive. But I was listening to your show early in the week, Mace, where you said your contract with the Titans, 5 years, $3 million guaranteed, I believe.
Yeah.
All this comes down. He's representing the QBs for the future. And I have not been one of those that is siding with the owners saying the Watson contract is so dumb that another quarterback doesn't buy in and deserve that. I don't think Watson did, but I think a guy like Lamar Jackson, who's done the exact opposite of Deshaun Watson in terms of his career path on and off the field, where he has got an MVP and he's got a team that has shaped an offense around him, and he's winning games. Watson's great, but his team won 4 games the last time he played in Houston. I look at this and say, if Burrow and Herbert aren't going to dig in Cincinnati and L.A., you can argue maybe they don't have the ownership to pay the guaranteed money. Bisciotti's got it. And if you're an NFL player right now and you're staring at a NFLPA representative and you see the TV money and you see your share, and then you see the share of what you're getting at the gate and in parking, which is zero, concessions, zero. I don't know why you're not rooting for the fully guaranteed money for one of the top 10 players in the NFL. I don't hear that enough. And I think if you want change in terms of pay compared to what you're getting in the NBA and Major League Baseball, right now you're in an era where you have the best quarterbacks coming up with contracts. And then you have some other restructurings if these guys get that type of money. But honestly, it's tough to turn down $150 million plus, and I wouldn't turn it down either, despite the money on paper looking like $300 to $400 million.
We'll stick around with Jonathan Hutton coming up next. It's Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Tune in to Robbie and Rex Road this week for your chance to win tickets to the Louder Than Life Festival.
They're all in there, man. They're trying to win.
Yes. The Louder Than Life Festival, September 21st through the 24th at the Kentucky Expo Center in Louisville. Catch some of the biggest acts in music.
That rocks.
Blew the house up, man. It was ill.
Listen for your chance to win all this week on Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey Nashville, it's Chef Phillip at Bar Lines at the Omni Hotel. Come try our new Nashville hot fish and chips. Beer battered black cod served over crispy fries or tots with Omni's own Nashville hot season blend. Served with chipotle slaw and malt vinegar tartar sauce.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
For one day only, Saturday, March 25th, get 5+ acres and a new cabin package on sale for only $69.9 during the Nashville Acreage Grand Opening Land Sale. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get the best of both worlds. Flat, usable, prime Nashville acreage with the biggest and most spectacular ridgeline views in the entire Nashville area. Priced below market prices. Come explore this recreational paradise and make your dreams of owning exceptional Nashville acreage a reality for less. With 5+ acres and a new cabin package for just $69.9. Best of all, these properties include first-class infrastructure like county water, electric, and county road frontage. All huge advantages in today's market. Appointment times are filling up fast. Call now to book your private tour. 615-437-6348. That's 615-437-6348. Cabin kit package for materials only. Delivered to site by third party. Taxes and delivery not included. Prices subject to change without notice or obligation. Call for complete details. An equal housing opportunity.
This week's Nashville's best deal is Eastside Bowl in Madison, a vintage bowling alley, music venue, diner, lounge, and arcade designed by locals for locals. And March 28th, don't miss the Battle of Nashville, Nashville's best Rage Against the Machine tribute band. Right now, you can get 2 hours of bowling plus shoe rentals for up to 6 people for just $45. That's 2 hours of bowling plus shoes for up to 6 people, just $45. Go to thegamenashville.com/deals to get yours now.
Spring in and style up with huge savings on top athletic brands at your Dick's Sporting Goods warehouse sales store in Franklin. Stay active this spring with up to 70% off the athletic styles you love. Shop deals on thousands of styles from top athletic apparel and footwear brands, like $10 tees, tanks, and shorts for the family, $20 swimwear, $20 golf polos, and running footwear for $60 or less. Find incredible deals and incredible style at your Dick's Sporting Goods warehouse sales store in Franklin at Watson Glen.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, join 102.5 The Game for the second annual Music City Celebrity Golf Tournament benefiting Souls for Souls on June 7th at Hermitage Golf Course. Put your team together and come play with athletes, musicians, and other local celebrities to support a great cause and have loads of fun. Plus, you'll have the chance to win awesome prizes. So sign up to play, sponsor, or donate at thegamenashville.com/golf. Jonathan Hutton, Outkick 360 is with us.
Now, Hut, I was just talking to the gang here off air, and I don't know if you remember this. This had to happen like in the mid 80s, late 80s, 90s, somewhere around there, where these, I think it was like 5 of the top quarterbacks were all represented by the same agency or agent. And sort of they were working out deals based upon that. And, you know, if
used
one
to
guy,
be Tom Condon that did all those deals, right?
Absolutely. So, and I bring that up to say this because what you were saying toward the end, like when you're talking about Joe Burrow and these other quarterbacks that came out in that class, eventually what are they going to get? They're going to start to set the market, push Deshaun Watson to the side. These quarterbacks now, and you're right, the guaranteed money, everyone, I think, as a player, should be on the side of Lamar Jackson because what ultimately he gets sets the market, I believe, not only for the quarterbacks, but it sets the market for those top tier, even the sort of mid-tier players in regards to, guaranteed money. And if you can get a Lamar Jackson getting guaranteed money, then you get a Joe Burrow getting guaranteed money, and then so forth and so on. You're talking about these quarterbacks that have negotiated, whether through their agents or in Lamar's case by himself, they're guaranteed money throughout their whole contract. I don't understand why players aren't backing them in a sense because what they do, it's a trickle-down effect to me, I believe.
No doubt. I mean, and look, not every team can do this.
Exactly.
A lot of them are strapped with whatever they've got currently under the guaranteed money and what it would cost to get rid of the quarterback they have, right? Like the Titans last year with Tannehill. So not every team qualifies as eligible currently, but some do. And Mace, I'll be blunt with you. I don't know what DeMaurice Smith does for the NFLPA. Don't know. And other than just mention that they're investigating collusion, but I don't know where any of that goes. He's available whenever the negotiations come up for their collective bargaining agreement, and then I don't hear from him. I don't see him, or the decision from the Browns to sign Watson. That's a tough one to back, right? Based on what had gone on the last year and a half for NFLPA or the NFL. I understand why you don't come out publicly, raving and throwing a parade down the street like you're on Bourbon Street, with all the bells and whistles going off. But in this case, with the what we're about to see are the best quarterbacks not get the type of deal that Watson just received. And not even close to it. Like, again, 68% of the money that would be on paper is guaranteed to Lamar Jackson compared to 100 for Watson. And 68% is a lot. I mean, it was a lot of guaranteed money. It would have paid him roughly $50 million a year, which would put him in the Aaron Rodgers status. But again, like if you're dug in like he is, where do you decide to draw the line? And at what point do you just say, hey, it's time to pony up and get an agent and pay the 3% or whatever it is? I just don't know why we've reached the point of, well, Baltimore's just going to match this, so there's no reason to call the guy. I disagree. If anything, I would want Baltimore to spend more money and eat up their cap if they're going to match it. So I'm going to raise the price a little bit on the quarterback they're going to have for a few years.
But is it worth the time and energy when you know they're just going to match it anyway?
Well,
that's what
I understand.
I've seen that happen in the NHL a bunch of times. Where you do all
the work.
Fair. The Philadelphia
That's
Flyers
fair.
put a lot of time and energy. What can we do? The Predators will never match this if we put this in there for Shea Weber. Here you go. And the Predators said, "Okay, we got it. We matched it. Thanks."
No doubt. But at least, in the spot of Shea Weber, though, I didn't think the Preds would match that deal.
They did make it tough because it
Philly.
was a ridiculously high deal. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, and they matched it.
And the deal was still going, by the way. Still going.
And
got 4 more years on it.
Well, and no doubt, no doubt.
15-year deal.
Bobby Bonilla vibes.
So,
yes,
but Willy,
exactly.
at least in this case, you're negotiating with the guy one-on-one, at least presumably. Who knows? It may be St. Omni or whoever's not allowed to represent Tunzel but does anyway. Maybe that guy. But point being, Willy, I would at least pick up the phone whenever they're currently, they're sending scouts out to watch Cam Newton throw. At least pick up the phone and call Lamar Jackson. I guess that's where I'm coming from on it.
I just think the Ravens are way too smart to let him.
They've
go.
They've played this very well.
They know the market. They know
and
what's
here's
out
the
there.
thing. Here's the thing. He didn't travel to Cincinnati for that playoff game, and the locker room immediately backed him post game, and then locker cleanout day, and then you had Harbaugh and DaCosta give the 200%. He's going to be here. We want him here. I mean, they have played this very well, and then they slapped the non-exclusive tag on him, where at minimum they're paying him 20 or 33 million, something like that, on the non-exclusive instead of 45 guaranteed. And if he makes more than that, well, 45 to 50 is what they've already offered. So they're going to pay him what they've already offered. And right now they're going to pay considerably less, and they still end up with another option next year for a quarterback that's been hurt to finish the last 2 seasons. That's where they're coming from on it. And I don't disagree with how they've played it. I just don't know how 31 other teams have just completely moved on within an hour or two of this coming to light whenever they announce this.
Jonathan Hutton with us. So, Hut, let's switch to the other big thing that's going to be out there. This story with Jackson and this story with Kevin Byard aren't going anywhere for a while. So let's fast forward. I mean, here we are. March isn't even over yet. June 1st is the date, right? That's when the contract changes. So with Byard, if they can't work something out on June 1st, what happens?
I mean,
they have to cut him, don't they?
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know why you let it get to that point if you're not willing to trade him during the draft, because they would only save. Correct me if I'm wrong here. They're only going to save about $6 million on the cap, right? I don't know why
before June 1st. You're saying
before June 1st, yeah. So I don't know why you would go down that path with a player who has done nothing but earn it, that has stood at the locker and answered every question on behalf of the organization. Yeah, I mean, Byard spoke more on the firing of John Robinson than the organization did. I don't know why you would go down this path and kick this can. And I think Byard's done a good job by saying, no, I'm not taking a pay cut, and I don't want to be traded either. Teron had that out, and I agree with him. I don't know how here's the thing for Derek. How do you make this right if you're the Titans now? If you do want to keep him, but you need him to take a pay cut, and
that's the question.
I believe
that is the question.
I believe
how do you work it out?
If you went to the player, like the quarterbacks, for instance, when you go to the quarterback for a restructure, you tell them your plan and why you're doing it, and then you get some money up front by restructuring. Right? You get more millions in the bank now, and you count less against the cap now. I don't. It doesn't seem like that they went to him with some grand plan other than, hey, we really want to save some money and find some other bargain deals down the road.
I think
if you're going after the quarterback, if you're going to try to break the bank and do something big, players for the most part are on board with that if they want to win, and Byard does. And they also get more money up front on the new restructure as they continue to help the team on the cap.
I think a way you can help, because those, to me, they're two different scenarios, because I think with the quarterback, you're more so inclined to, especially if he's playing at a high level, and we know the quarterback is the most important position on the field. They're more inclined to kick the can down the road with the quarterback because they feel, hey, listen, if we don't have this guy, then we go from being, a playoff team to not being a playoff team. I think in Byard's situation, they don't believe that, okay, if we ask him to take a pay cut and he doesn't take a pay cut, and say we want to release him or trade him, I don't think they, in their mind, believe, okay, we're a playoff team and then we lose Byard and now we're not a playoff team. I don't know if the Titans or any other team looks at a safety in that fashion. Now, if you want to help the player and he doesn't want to take a pay cut, you release him early enough that he can go find another team where he can get the money that he was owed from the other team that first year, whether it be he may not get $13 million or $14 million in contract money for that year, but he may get $7 to sign and $7 for that year, and that equals up to the $14 million he would have made here in Nashville. If you want to help the player, that's what you do. You allow him to go get as much money as he possibly can early enough before everyone else starts to get cut. I think we may not like it, and initially you may not like it as a player, but once you get out on that market and you're the only one on the market and you're still playing at a high level, you're going to get the most money because no one else is out there that is capable of playing the way you played.
Willie, and I love the answer, Mace, but Willie, here's how I read what they're doing. First off, they've got to sign Simmons, okay? That still is out there.
What's our ballpark of what the cap hit will be? You have to sort of budget. I mean, I guess you could set it so the cap hit this year isn't that huge, and you could set it so the cap hit hits a little later. Mm-hmm. I would think that's got to be in this equation because they only have 6-point-something million against the cap as we sit here right now.
Right. Yeah. So up front with the signing bonus and all the guaranteed money, you put that away in escrow, right? Again, it all circles back, I think, to a lot of the cash on hand. You have to have a minimum in your bankroll of cash on hand just to on an annual basis as a team. So it's not like they don't have enough money to operate. They certainly don't, based on the stadium they're about to build. But I read it this way: they need to sign Jeffrey Simmons, and I think it's also a signal of the easiest guy to restructure right now is Ryan Tannehill. Or you cut him and you save $18 million immediately. But the reality is, I think I read it as to win right now. They keep Henry and Tannehill and they just eat the contracts this year because restructuring or any adjustments would just cost them potential cap space in the future. And if you're going to move on from these guys a year from now, you don't want to be handcuffed by their contracts after this year, but you do want Kevin Byard on your roster after this year. So you try to get him to take a pay cut and then restructure to keep him around. They have very little commitment to Derrick Henry or Ryan Tannehill after 2023. They have commitment.
This is
to
where
Kevin
you can bite
Byard.
the bullet on those two. For
You
sure.
bite the bullet with two guys that can help you win now or help you stay competitive now. And Byard is a part of your plan beyond this season as you begin to retool and rebuild the roster in this new Rand Carthon era where they are. And this is all, by the way, this is all necessitated by the fact that they have drafted so bad and they carry currently very few rookie contracts. This is the shape
that
they're
have
in.
any meat to them, that have a lot of value to them. They've got
Right.
guys that are going to be on there, but are they getting a lot of bang for that? That's a really good
Are you
point.
getting the production? And they paid Byard for his production because he was a successful draft pick. He's one of the few. And now they're going to him to take trying to get him to take a pay cut in order to necessitate what they're trying to do to win now, but also build for the future. And it's just not lining up. And I don't blame Byard for saying no.
Okay, here's the question that I don't think we can know the answer, but I'll ask it anyway. Do you think with the collaborative in that building, they know what they want to do? Or do you think there's an internal debate on which direction to go with all of these dilemmas they have?
Well, I think they know what they want to do without a trade offer for Tannehill. Hypothetically, if Rodgers came out of his black hole retreat and said, "Hey, I'm retired," what would the Jets do? They'd panic and they'd give you something. Again, like I'm just throwing out the hypothetical that did not happen. So based on the contract now and what you could do, I do. So here's the thing: I do view the Titans as one of the more unpredictable teams in the draft. And beyond just the fact that we don't know what Carthon will do, it also could include a quarterback. And I think it's worth at least discussing as we get down that path because of the money you can save on the cap with Tannehill. Again, just saying, I keep that option open because I really don't know what Carthon's thinking. And I would guess, and I think it's, it's an obvious point to make, that he's not hired unless he's in alignment with what Mike Vrabel is doing. And I've said this from day one with the discussion. Vrabel's not signing up for some rebuild in a losing season. And right now, currently, the best option to be competitive is with Tannehill and Henry in the backfield. So I think that's the path. It's also due in part to their cap structure. And if they really have the option to move up and get a quarterback that they love, so be it. Tannehill doesn't have to be here, and you can move forward with your quarterback of the future. But it's got to be the right guy at the right price, and it can't dictate what else you do to be competitive this season because, again, I don't think Vrabel's signing up to be the Houston Texans.
Jonathan Hutton, Outkick 360, appreciate you for joining us as always and excited for some upcoming renovations on the show coming soon.
Yes, thank you. Looking forward to the debut on Monday of that. And Willie, I'm headed to Madison Square Garden for the first time. I'm going up with Outkick and Fox tomorrow. If they win, I'll be there for the weekend. I love New York. I've been there a lot, but I've never been inside the Garden, and I cannot wait for the Sweet 16.
Very unique. Very unique. You're going to like it. It's awesome. And you just stumble out of there and, walk in any direction, you'll find fun stuff going on. You'll be right in the middle of the action. It's very unique.
Awesome. I'll make sure that Chad is singing Sinatra.
A little Sinatra will go a long way.
City's so nice, they named it twice. Safe travels, Hutton.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, Hutton. Hutton hit on something that I think is really important. He hit on something that I think can maintain and preserve the Titans' competitiveness this year and also save the future in the next coming years. And let's discuss that coming up next. And, of course, your phone, 615-737-1025. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game.
I think it's a really good move. TD, it's never the offseason for ESPN's Teron Davenport.
I mean, that's something you obviously have to look at.
He's always talking about what's next for the Tennessee Titans.
Quarterback is a really important thing that they have to get determined.
Check out TD, Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, and Friday mornings at 8:30. Plus, the Talkin' with TD podcast.
Looking forward to that.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for the Twin Peaks E-Club and stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks. As a friend of the Peaks Club, you'll score free stuff and be updated on upcoming events and promotions. Visit TwinPeaksRestaurant.com and sign up today.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
This week's Nashville's best deal is Eastside Bowl in Madison, a vintage bowling alley, music venue, diner, lounge, and arcade designed by locals for locals. And March 28th, don't miss the Battle of Nashville, Nashville's best Rage Against the Machine tribute band. Right now, you can get 2 hours of bowling plus shoe rentals for up to 6 people for just $45. That's 2 hours of bowling plus shoes for up to 6 people, just $45. Go to thegamenashville.com/deals to get yours now.
Smith looking for that three-point shot. And there's the beautiful touch.
The Commodores keep on fighting and will now take on UAB in the quarterfinals of the NIT.
Right on cue, big number 42 has his first 2 points.
Coverage begins tonight at 5:30 on your home for Vanderbilt Hoops. 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey, this is Jordan Rogers, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Up front with the signing bonus and all the guaranteed money, you put that away in escrow, right? Again, it all circles back, I think, to a lot of the cash on hand. You have to have a minimum in your bankroll of cash on hand just to on an annual basis as a team. So it's not like they don't have enough money to operate. They certainly don't, based on the stadium they're about to build. But I read it this way: they need to sign Jeffrey Simmons, and I think it's also a signal of the easiest guy to restructure right now is Ryan Tannehill. Or you cut him and you save $18 million immediately. But the reality is, I think I read it as to win right now. They keep Henry and Tannehill, and they just eat the contracts this year because restructuring or any adjustments would just cost them potential cap space in the future. And if you're going to move on from these guys a year from now, you don't want to be handcuffed by their contracts after this year, but you do want Kevin Byard on your roster after this year. So you try to get him to take a pay cut and then restructure to keep him around. They have very little commitment to Derrick Henry or Ryan Tannehill after 2023. They have commitment.
This is
to
where
Kevin
you can bite
Byard.
the bullet on those two. For
You
sure.
bite the bullet with two guys that can help you win now or help you stay competitive now. And Byard is a part of your plan beyond this season as you begin to retool and rebuild the roster in this new Rand Carthon era where they are. And this is all, by the way, this is all necessitated by the fact that they have drafted so bad and they carry currently very few rookie contracts.
There you go. That was Outkick 360. Makes the most sense for the Titans in 2023. Right now, you're on the hook for Kevin Byard in 2023, but you don't have a long-term commitment for Byard. You're on the hook for Derrick Henry. You don't have a long-term commitment for Derrick Henry. Those are two players, while they do have a pretty hefty salary this season and are eating up a good bit of the cap, those are two players that can help you win right now. But you don't have a long-term, connection to them. You don't have to be on the hook with them long-term. Eat the salary now because you pushed the can down the line with both Derrick Henry and Kevin Byard over the last 2 years. Those were John Robinson's moves. You kicked it down. Well, now it comes the day where those big cap hits are hitting. Go ahead and just eat it with Byard and Henry. Try and be as competitive as you possibly can while you're on the hook for them, and then move on from there. I think that makes the most sense, which has made me so confused as to why they have asked for Byard and Henry, or asked Byard to take a pay cut, shopping Derrick Henry. Those are two guys that are going to help you win right now. Eat it now, and then move forward with a younger core beyond that.
I mean, I can see that happening. There's two different scenarios here for me, because on one hand, I think the organization, when it comes to all three of those players, Byard, Henry, and Ryan Tannehill, more specifically, Henry and Byard, because those were their two draft picks. The emotional part is we want these guys to be Titans, period. We want to give them an opportunity to retire in a two-tone blue. That's the emotional side of it. And everybody's on board with that, even Ryan Tannehill to a certain extent. And everybody, I think, if you ask to a man or a woman, anybody that loves the Titans, in regards to those two players, they would say from an emotional side, yeah, we would want to keep those guys. All right, put that to the side. That's the emotional side. Now, the business side of it is what Hutton said, and it's true. If you keep Derrick Henry and you keep Ryan Tannehill, that gives you an opportunity to continue to win as you put this team back together. This is the business side. It has nothing to do with the emotional side. Keeping those two, and even possibly reworking the deal of Ryan Tannehill and pushing it down the road and allowing it not to cost you as much down the road. So when you're ready to make that transition, he can either become your backup or you can release him, and it may not cost you that much money to release him. So if you want to rework the deal with Ryan Tannehill, I think it's a little bit possibly easy, not a little bit easier, but if you want to stay competitive and you want to win as you're building this team, keep your quarterback. You got to look at it at the safety position or the corner position. Hell, we just saw Jalen Ramsey get traded from one team to the next, and he's considered a top 3 corner in this league. I think teams, and I could be wrong on this, teams, when you start to look at it, and you start to look at, okay, are we better with this guy or not with this guy? Are we a Super Bowl team with this guy or not with this guy? If they were to get rid of Byard, which I don't want him to, I would love for him to retire a Titan because he's been that guy. I mean, after what he did last year when he chose to play and everybody, guys were like, sitting out because of that game really didn't. That spoke volumes, at least for me as a former player. But also I look at it from this standpoint. Are you closer to a Super Bowl with him or without him right now as we speak? If you were to remove Kevin Byard from this team, does it make you significantly worse as a team when you still got Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill?
I don't think you're Super Bowl contenders either way.
That's what I'm saying. And that's how you got to look at it.
That's the question.
Exactly. That's how you
got
to look at it. Like, take the emotions out of it. Let's take the numbers out of it. As we start to sort of turn this team in a different direction and knowing where we want to be and knowing that Vrabel is a good coach and he ain't signing up for losing, but are we going to win a championship with Byard? If the answer is no, then okay, well, let's try to get something for him. Let's raise the cap. Let's lower the cap. Let's ask him to take a pay cut, whatever it is, so we can help the team build the team. If Kevin Byard was in his 6th season or 5th season and he's been playing at the level he's playing at, yeah, you keep him because he's young enough and he's going to help you win as you bring in more guys. But at this stage, he's still a good player, but we've seen even with him on the field or without him on the field, this team, they are who they are at this point. They're not a Super Bowl contending team. They're not with him, they're not close. Without him, they're not close. To me, that's just me. And I'm taking the emotional side of it. If we want to keep the emotional side, then yes, keep him. If you want to go down that route, keep him. But you got to understand, when you keep him, does it put you closer to where you want to be as a team?
A year too early or a year too late.
That's just how I'm looking at it.
And that's fair. But the Titans aren't on the hook for Kevin Byard for 5 more years. I look at it like, let's say the Titans decide to cut Kevin Byard today. Mm-hmm. Why?
Why not?
What are they going to spend that monny on?
Why not?
Because he
flexibility.
Can help
It's
you
flexibility
win.
for the coming years. It's flexibility for the coming years. That's the what they have to wrestle with. That's why I asked the last question to Hutton the way I asked it. I just wonder when they go into work every day, these things are on the table. Mm-hmm. They haven't addressed. They don't have to make the choice today, but they have to figure out what their philosophy is, and some of it will be determined by the market. Like, do the Jets end up getting Aaron Rodgers? I mean, these are all things that have to fall into place. The draft is a big one. June 1st is a big one. But do they all feel confident? Do they have the same attitude? Like, on one hand, if I'm Mike Vrabel, he could be going in there every day and saying, I still think we could win the division.
Mm-hmm. Which I probably
give me
think
my
he
guys,
probably is saying
give me
that.
my guys, we'll win the division. We can still do it. And then you might have somebody else in there. I don't know who's who. It could be scouts. Mm-hmm. Say, guys, Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, we just let's do the math. Jacksonville's rising. Let's save and fight for another day. Let's build this roster back. Let's create cap space. Let's create flexibility. Both philosophies are probably have merit, right? It's not out of the realm that they could win the division. They could do it. Anything can happen, right?
I don't think it's the craziest idea in the slightest.
Not at all. But also, I think it has merit to say, do we take a step back to take some big steps forward and build a loaded roster, a more loaded roster, a deeper roster through the draft, through more cap space, eyeing 2026. Somewhere in the middle could be the answer. I don't know. But I'm just wondering, is everybody in agreement over there of what they want to do? Or is there some disagreement? Because I wouldn't be surprised at all if we disagree. They disagree, right?
Let's get your thoughts on it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Shot clock at 2. And the three is good from Jordan Wright. After an amazing end-of-season run, the Vanderbilt Commodores look to win the NIT. Wright fires. Wow! Join Jerry Stackhouse and his team for every moment on your home for Vanderbilt basketball. 93.3 Classic Hits.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like the aggressively sophisticated Toyota Highlander, with room for up to 8 and the most advanced safety features. Now through April 4th, you can get low 3.99 APR financing on a new 23 Highlander, with approved credit through TFS, excludes hybrids, and every new Toyota comes with 2 years no-cost maintenance included. Get complete details at buyatoyota.com. Ready, set, go get your Toyota today. Toyota, let's go places.
Social Furniture's Spring Home Makeover Sales event is going on now with the latest styles and colors in stock, ready for immediate delivery and setup. If you don't need a fancy schmancy showroom or the stress of a high-pressure sales team, but you don't want to pay high-quality prices, come to Social Furniture. All top-quality furniture and mattresses are on sale now. Don't miss this Extreme Home Makeover Sales event that's going on now at Social Furniture.
I shop at Social Furniture because of the way I'm treated.
That's Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue.
Come see Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase live, followed by Stillman and Company at Central Barbecue in Hillsborough Village on Thursday, March 23rd to kick off this week's college hoop action. Come for lunch and dinner and cheer on your favorite teams.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
As long as he wants to coach there, he will be able to coach there.
I think that really did save the hope of this team. Michelle and Junie, presented by Superbook Sports, every Saturday morning at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, is your bracket busted? You can sign up and play the official 16 game bracket challenge brought to you by Twin Peaks, home of 29-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports, and the Bluffs at Rocky Ridge. Enjoy the biggest and best views in the Nashville area from your dream acreage home site. Call now, 866-GET-LAND. Go to thenashville.com/bracket challenge or the Game Nashville app now. Pick up your teams for a chance to win tickets to see Luke Combs at Nissan Stadium on Saturday, April 15th. Unless we have thoughts?
Let's go to the phone.
To the phones. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. AG has been waiting patiently. What's up, AG?
Thank you. What's going on? Yeah, pay Derrick Henry. All right, cool.
But Kevin Byard, that just sound like, I mean, his position is too dependent on the defensive line getting pressure for him to be successful. So, like, I just don't understand why, like, it's just such a big deal. The old GM brought him in and came over with that contract. We got a whole new GM looking at things now, and I think any new GM would look at that like, that's too much. That's all I got.
Yeah, thanks for your call, AG.
Let's remember this. A few years ago, when Kevin Byard who was I don't know why I'm forgetting this, the defensive coordinator before the last two guys, Michigan State.
Before Shane Bowen.
He went to Atlanta he retired, went to Atlanta. Why am I forgetting his name?
Dean Pease.
Yeah, Dean Pease. When Dean Pease came in, that's when things, I think, started to turn for Kevin Byard. And, he started to really make a name for himself in this league, within that defense. When Dean Pease left, I don't know if it was because of the defensive change. Kevin Byard may have been hurt throughout the whole season, but his production dipped a lot from what it was in previous years. It dipped, and it started to rise back up again. Why? Kevin, I think, he's a borderline Hall of Fame player. He is. If he continues he's a borderline Hall of Fame player. But that caller was right in the sense of this. His stock started to raise a lot more because his job got not easier, but those guys on the front seven got better. Simmons got better. They brought in Danico Autry. Harold Landry got better. Bud Dupree, when he was healthy, he played off of Harold Landry. David Long Jr. started to make a name for himself. You see where I'm going with this? Those guys up front started to get a lot better. And we even started to say the cornerbacks look good. But then once they started having, a little, guys start getting injured, this and that and that and this, then that secondary, which was good at first, it started to dip a little. Why? Because that defensive line wasn't getting, or they were so injured, they were not getting the pressure that they were normally getting. Now, those guys that they threw in TR, they did a fabulous job, wonderful job. But not having Harold Landry, Bud Dupree being in and out of the lineup, those on the back end did suffer. And Kevin played better this season than he had the prior season. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is this. When we look at the safety position, a lot of teams don't value it the way we all are talking about it. We love Kevin Byard, want him to retire, but I'm looking at it not from an emotional standpoint. I'm just looking at it for, this team is moving in another direction. And if we believe that Vrabel is the coach, he is, which I do, you do, Caroline, and I know, Willie, you do, and everybody in this station does, then this team is always going to remain competitive because who he is as a coach, and he's going to demand the best out of you. So whether they have Kevin Byard or not, this team is still going to be a gutsy fighting team that's going to compete week in and week out. That's just what I believe.
You still need players.
You're going to have players.
The best coaches in the world can only coach up so much. I agree to a certain extent that as long as we got Vrabel, we're good. Mm-hmm. But we saw just how bad it can be when some of your top players go down this past year when the Titans lost 7 games in a row.
They still have Byard, didn't they?
Mike Vrabel. There's only so much that Mike Vrabel can do.
They still have Byard,
There's only so much that a safety can do whenever your starting quarterback is injured and Malik Willis is just running around all which way and throwing the ball away on 4th down.
They still have Kevin Byard, didn't they? In the back end?
Kevin Byard can't single-handedly win them games.
And that's what I'm saying. It's not the quarterback position. You look when the quarterback position, you look at totally different from everybody. From A.J. Brown to Kevin Byard to anyone else. Answer this question, and I want our callers to answer this question as well. If this team wasn't so injury-ridden this year, we know they don't have A.J. Brown, but if this team wasn't so injury-ridden this year, do we believe they win the AFC South?
Yes.
Okay. That's with or without A.J. Brown. That answer feeds further into what I'm saying. If Kevin Byard's on this team or not on this team, if they are healthy, they're still going to win ball games. They're still going to be competitive. They're going to replace Kevin Byard with somebody probably not at his level, because you're not going to get somebody of Kevin Byard level or higher and not pay him the money that Kevin Byard wants. But if you choose to move away from Kevin Byard, we believe in Ryan Carthon. We believe in Mike Vrabel. They're going to get another safety that can come in and be disciplined, that plays within the system, that does the things the right way like Kevin Byard does. May not have the talent of Kevin Byard, but does the things the right way and keeps you in a position where you're going to be competitive. We're saying that it's not going to be the same. It's not, but it's not going to fall off the map either.
I just don't think the Titans are in the business or in the place right now to just give away good players. And that's exactly what they would be doing if they cut Kevin Byard. You would be cutting a foundational piece of this team.
Every team goes through it. They go through it.
Let's get to Jordan, who's up next. What's up, Jordan? Go ahead, Jordan.
Well, my thing is, all the NFL organizations are cheaters. They cheat players. So when Kevin Byard came to Tennessee, how old was he? And he has 4 years as a rookie contract, making that money, right? 4 years. So he got signed because he did his work. Now he's going to be 30-something, as you guys mentioned, and he's too old. So when do players start making real money? That is money. Now you guys are saying, oh, he needs to take a pay cut. I don't understand it, because unless they come to the NFL, sign them with good money. If they're good players, don't use them. He played for 4 years making less money, and then he did his job. And now he got paid. Now he's making more. When do they have to make the money? When they're in their, 21 years old or 19?
Fair point, Jordan. Thank you for your call, Jordan. Make a fair point.
No, he's right in a sense. Yeah,
it's hard to grasp.
What more can you do?
Yeah.
What more could Kevin Byard do other than
it's hard
be
to grasp
available?
it, but this happens to a lot of teams and a lot of players.
Kevin isn't the first person, and it won't be the last person.
No, he's not. But who are you going to bring in to replace Kevin Byard?
It's not about replacing him. It's about, bringing in someone that can get the job done at a level that is satisfactory to you and your team. When you got to replace, you can't replace a Aaron Rodgers. He's Aaron Rodgers. You can't replace a Peyton Manning, even though they damn near almost with Andrew Luck. But you can't replace a Peyton Manning. He's Peyton Manning. You can't replace a Tom Brady. Tom Brady, those are great players, good to great players. You're not trying to replace Kevin Byard. What you're trying to do is get younger, get a little bit cheaper, and get majority of the production. You may not get all of the production. You want some of the production that Kevin Byard was giving you. And you hope, if it's a young player, that he grows into a Kevin Byard. Because remember, they had to replace safety before Kevin Byard. They had to replace a safety before, Michael Griffin. They had to replace a Blaine Bishop. When they were trying to, eventually you're going to have to replace everybody.
Yes, you can't hold on to Kevin Byard forever. But if you are going to replace Kevin Byard with a safety that you hope turns into Kevin Byard, why lose Kevin Byard for nothing? You're not going to be able to keep him forever. He's not going to play football forever. I understand that. But why part ways with him when you don't necessarily need to?
I'm not saying cut him. If you can trade him, trade him. But then if you feel you need to relieve yourself of some cap space, whatever it may be, then, like I said earlier when Hutton was on, if you want to do the player a favor, you don't want to give him all the money, or you want to have a pay cut or whatever, but if you want to do him a favor, you cut him early enough or release him early enough to where he can still potentially get the money that he was going to make this year. $13 million. Somebody may give him $13 million for the year without a signing bonus, and the signing bonus is just something added on. But there's other teams. I would beg to believe that if the Titans were to release him or whatnot, he would go to another team, and he would probably make, depending on who that team was, he would probably make in base salary, I don't know, maybe $10 million, somewhere around there, and then they'd give him some money in the signing bonus. Or he'd make a little bit less, and they'd give him the money in the signing bonus so it equals up to what he was going to potentially make here for the Tennessee Titans. I can see him taking that deal because you don't want to take a deal, if you can help it, you don't want to take a deal that's paying you much less than what you would have made here. So right. if you go to another team and they want to pay you, 7 base, 7 or 8 to sign, well, you come out on a better end because now you're making more, with a signing bonus and a base salary than you would have made with the Tennessee Titans. Now, that's not factoring in taxes and all that other stuff, but I'm just saying.
Not fun stuff.
Exactly, yeah. Not fun stuff, but I'm just saying based upon, the salary for the year. So you're getting it both. You're getting it from a base salary and a signing bonus, angle.
Let's get Tim Hasselbeck's thoughts on it. He will join us coming up next. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck, Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willy Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. It's that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Now, your Game Center update.
This is Nick Keyser. The Nashville Predators picked up their first win in 1 week against the Buffalo Sabres yesterday evening. No thanks to a 4-point second period from rookie Luke Evangelista en route to a 7-3 win. Defenseman Dante Fabro on Evangelista being part of the Preds roster.
You can kind of see his game starting to take off a little bit. So it's it's good to kind of see that offensive side of him and kind of see what he brings to the table, and it's obviously exciting to watch.
And Japan won the World Baseball Classic last night 3-2 over Team USA. It was Mike Trout versus Shohei Ohtani in the final at bat. Trout was struck out by his Los Angeles Angels teammate Ohtani to end the tournament. And Jerry Stackhouse and the Vanderbilt Commodores are back in action this evening against UAB in the quarterfinal of the NIT. You can hear the action on 93.3 Classic Hits. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit theGameNashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 1025 and 1063.
1, 2, 3. I think it was a good game. Had a couple of big plays.
Oh, man, Yoshi scores! The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game in the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook Sports. And joining us now is ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck. Tim, we heard from Jeremy Fowler on SportsCenter the other day. He said the Titans could be a wild card team in the mix for Lamar Jackson. Do you think Lamar Jackson ends up anywhere other than Baltimore once all of his contract negotiations have settled?
I don't think he ends up anywhere but Baltimore. And the reason I say that is I just think there are so many – I think there's a few moving parts, on it. And then, until Lamar hires an agent, I think negotiating those moving parts while Baltimore continues to have, essentially the first right of refusal, I think it's the most logical scenario that he ends up back there. And look, from a how to make that work perspective for the Titans, I just don't know how you do that when I believe as we sit right now, Ryan Tannehill's cap charge, salary against this salary cap this season is just about as high as any player in the National Football League. So I don't know how you kind of, merge those two things together where you're on the hook for Ryan Tannehill's salary, and then you would be signing Lamar Jackson to a contract that absolutely would be, I would think at least you'd want more than this, but a 4-year, $200 million contract. So I just don't see how that could happen for Tennessee.
Now, looking at potentially what can happen with Lamar, Tim, take away the Deshaun Watson, because I think everybody, even Lamar now, and he probably realized it months ago, that contract, as much as he probably wanted it, and it's not, it's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I want $230 million guaranteed. Now, will you get that? That's something totally different. But you shoot for the shoot for the stars, shoot for the moon, reach the stars, shoot for the stars, reach the moon, whatever.
I got what you're saying.
So to me, do you think whatever contract Lamar signs, one, do you think it will be a short-term contract? And I think you just answered that with the 4 years. But do you think his contract will be the contract that sets the market for the quarterbacks upcoming?
Yeah, look, D-Mase, I think this, and this from your involvement in the PA in the past, and like if Lamar Jackson wants a fully guaranteed contract, he could get it. Does that make now? Can he sign a contract worth $250 million that's fully guaranteed? Maybe not. So I think sometimes, I've heard people talking about this, well, he doesn't have a fully guaranteed contract. Hey, Kirk Cousins did. It's well, Kirk Cousins signed a 3-year, $84 million fully guaranteed contract at the time. So it's if Lamar Jackson wanted to sign a 3-year, $84 million contract, the Ravens would be sprinting to the table to handing him a pen to sign it, right? So here's what I think. Do I think that Lamar will get more than Kyler Murray's, whatever that was, just under $190 million fully guaranteed? I do. So are we going to, count that as resetting it? Yeah, I think so. And I think this is just kind of one of these scenarios where, I don't know, I think some of the details get left out in the conversation about it. Remember when we were talking about this with Dak Prescott, and it was well, hey, how much is it? How much is it? And everyone's kind of, talking about how, well, maybe Jerry Jones doesn't believe in Dak Prescott. It's no, that wasn't the deal. The deal was Jerry wanted to get him on, I forget the terms. Jerry wanted him to sign a 5-year deal, and Dak wanted to sign a 4-year deal because Dak wanted to be able to hit free agency, a year sooner, and another crack at signing a big contract. So, my guess with Baltimore is it's kind of all on that. And, and just kind of some of those factors. So do I think he resets the market? Yes. Do I think, as we're talking in terms of fully guaranteed money, yeah. If Kyler Murray set it at $189 million, then I think Lamar very well could get around $200 million fully guaranteed.
Now, Tim, looking at the draft and, all of these mock drafts are coming out and all of them seem to be different in some aspect. But what has been sort of the trend now is potentially these 4 quarterbacks who we assume are the top 4 quarterbacks, they will all go within the top 5 picks. Now, if that does indeed happens, the Titans at 11, where does that put them? Because now with the signing of Dillard, they might be looking at Dillard more than likely their left tackle moving forward because he's young enough. He's a former first-round draft pick. So they could look at him as their future tackle. Do you think if those first 4 guys go quarterbacks, does that change everything moving down the line, specifically with the Titans?
Yeah, well, I mean, it certainly can. Look, let me just say this. If 4 quarterbacks go in the top 10, well, I mean, just by the history of how this has gone, 2, probably 3 of them won't end up being very good. It's like a 50-50 proposition at best. And, so if teams do that, look, the Titans, I would say, should be excited about that because that means that there's going to be a player that, in an environment where not that many quarterbacks that would be going in the first round, they would never get a chance to draft. So I guess I would just start by kind of saying that. But I also think this, as you talk about guys that could go that high from a quarterback perspective, some teams that need a quarterback may need to move a little bit. And you might not be able to go from – I'm just throwing out numbers. I don't know the teams that are picking there. But, you might not be able to go from pick 20 to pick 6, right? Mm-hmm. So in order to do that, you may need to hop twice. You may need to get to 11 to then eventually get to 7. Does that make sense? So, so I think the Titans could be in a very good spot, with – kind of all of these, feelings about, hey, what's going on with these quarterbacks. Now, saying all that, and this is part of, and I think Lamar fits in this a little bit, and I think that Aaron Rodgers, to an extent, fit in this. Some of these quarterback spots are drying up a little bit, which means it would probably also have to be a surprise. There probably will be a surprise, pick at quarterback. Because I think many people thought, take the Raiders, for example. I think nearly everybody, call it 2 weeks ago, thought that if the Raiders didn't get Aaron Rodgers, the Raiders would be drafting a quarterback and maybe even having to move up to do so.
Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst, will stick around with us. Coming up next, it is Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Come on. Join Robbie and Rexroad for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The choice is yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's the Electronic Express famous half price fair. This week only, save up to 50% in every department, including all 4K TVs, appliances, laptops and tablets, speakers, and more. You'll not find a lower price anywhere. We guarantee it. The famous half price fair. It's first come, first served. Sale ends Saturday at 9 p.m. Hurry into any of our convenient locations. Plus, get up to 3 years free financing. The Electronic Express famous half price fair ends this Saturday at 9 p.m.
Join the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce April 3rd through 6th for an exclusive look into what makes Nashville the IT city. Whether you're new to town or a Nashville native, Intro Nashville gives you the opportunity to become engaged and connected to our city's community. During this multi-day immersive program, you'll hear from over 20 community leaders and industry experts whose storytelling unlocks a comprehensive view of our city and region. Gain historical and economic perspective on Nashville while establishing relationships with local business leaders. Register now at intronash.com.
There's nobody on the planet who's as picky when it comes to diamonds as Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon.
I'm very, very selective on the diamond that I pick.
Indeed, Boaz will look at 2,000 diamonds on the world market and find maybe 2 or 3 that meet his criteria.
What most people don't know, and even jewelers, a diamond has much more than the 4 C's. He has maybe 20 C's.
Like the diamond's luster grade or brilliance level, its feathering, its inclusions, its table, its polish, its symmetry, even the diamond's own DNA or X-ray report, which most jewelers don't even know about.
I refuse to sell diamonds that don't go through our very, very strict criteria.
Which means a Genesis diamond is one she can be proud to wear, with the most sparkle and brilliance and real intrinsic value.
This is my goal, to go all over the world and find only the best hand-selected diamond.
Genesis Diamonds, setting the highest quality standards in the jewelry business. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Honey, come here, quick.
What is it?
Shh, check it out. The prices on all these highly rated tequilas are amazing. Total Wine must have made a mistake.
Nope, they always have the best deals in town. Remember that amazing reposado your sister brought over last week? See, it's right here.
Whoa, that's a low price. I mean, whoa, that's a low price.
With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly. B21.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah, and like us on Facebook, too. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, come see Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase live, followed by Stillman and Company tomorrow at Central Barbecue in Hillsboro Village. You can come by for some great Memphis-style barbecue and catch your favorite teams compete in the tournament. Again, that is Central Barbecue in Hillsboro Village tomorrow. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck joins us now.
Tim, before I hand it over to Willie, I did want to ask you about the whole Cam Newton thing. He threw yesterday, and I know what he has said about the whole starting thing. But how many, one, do you think there's a spot for him to be a starter this year? Caroline and I was just talking about it off air, and the consensus is no. But a backup, yes. So what do you think his options are, or will there be any landing spot for him to be a backup?
I think it all depends on kind of what a team feels like his posture is on being a backup. And like D-Mase, I would ask you, man, like you had a great career. But did you ever feel like you were a backup?
Yeah, you're right about it. Nah, not really. Nah, nope.
No, I mean, like,
especially when you've started for so long, yes.
Like Jerry Rice was like 57 years old and still thought he was the best, right at the very end. Like he's with the Seahawks saying, "Throw me the ball, come on, I can still do it."
See, what's different about receiver is that like minimum 3 guys play every game. A lot of times, 5 guys will play, in games, and so if you're a 34-year-old receiver and you're playing, 40 offensive snaps. Like that'll you're good. You're like, look, man, I'm like, they may like everyone's acting like this young guy is the number one or whatever, but I'm playing 40 snaps and catching 5 balls a game. Like I'm good, man. Like quarterback doesn't work that way. It's like you're the guy or you're not, right? And look, I said this about Carson Wentz. Like are you doing it? Like, are you going to? You've made a lot of money. Like, are you going to go? Make. I mean, $1 million a year, $1.5 million, maybe have some incentives, and watch somebody else play and not be the guy. And, I just, to me, that is where this gets really tricky. Like, I had a posture of, look, I'm going to play until all 32 teams tell me I can't. And it didn't matter, what I was going to get paid. It didn't, that was my posture of playing. Cam Newton's a different story. He was the number 1 overall pick. He's quarterbacked the team to a Super Bowl. Look at that now. He's made, over $130 million playing quarterback. So, is he going to take a position where he's like, yeah, he's going to make $1.5 million. Maybe you can make another $1 million. To most people, everybody listening, it's like, yeah, shoot, I'd do that. But not everyone is built that way. And I just don't think that, if I'm building a team, he doesn't have the profile to me to be somebody that I'm like, yeah, I want him is my guy to kind of be in my quarterback room. And that, I'm not saying that he's definitely selfish. I'm just saying it would take a lot of convincing to me to want him around. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be a bad guy, but he's experienced being the guy.
No question about it. Tim Hasselbeck is with us. All right, Tim, another philosophical question. Let's just say you're in the Titans. Their offices, they're having a philosophical conversation. They're debating as Rand Carthon comes in, he's inheriting Byard's contract, figuring out, okay, what do I need to do with that? Derrick Henry's contract, Ryan Tannehill, etc. They ask you, best case scenario, Tim, where do we fit in the AFC picture? We're trying to figure out what to do with these contracts. What is best case scenario if we bring everybody back?
And so where do you fit roster-wise because of that? Well, look, I think let's run down them. Buffalo's better. Miami's better. The Jets would be better. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland would all be better. In the conference itself, look, I guess you could probably say Jacksonville, for sure. Maybe Indy, depending on what happens there. And then, the West is all of those teams seem to be really talented. Look, you're way down the line. Willie, I think you touched on something that I think is really, really interesting in that, take Kevin Byard, for example. So Kevin Byard, they go to him. He's an older player. He's been amazing here. And they say, hey, we want to redo your deal. And he's like, hold up. I know we haven't experienced the team success we've had, but show me where my play is actually fallen off. Right?
Right. That's the tough part of it.
Hey, and here's the deal. It hasn't. And he's played every single snap, basically. And because of some of the things that they have been going on, he was playing special teams last year. You say, hey, we want you to redo your deal. And I think what you risk with a player like Byard is, are you getting it wrong? Are you misreading the market? I think if Kevin Byard were on the market, I think people would be going after him and he'd get paid a lot of money.
I think you're right.
Which is probably why when they approached him about taking a pay cut, he's like, no.
But he's never played at 19.6 because they've redone his deal. His cap hit is higher than it's ever been. That's part of the problem. Same thing with Henry.
I get it, but you also were getting him undervalued for a long time. Honestly, the guy, if he continues to stack years the way he's had, he's potentially a Hall of Fame player. That's how good Kevin Byard's been. Just being candid about it. So you've had him at a bit of a discount too. So there is an element of that. So yeah, I think that running back is the one that I think ends up being where you have to say, look, this is hard, but we are looking at the trajectory of guys at that age, even though, Henry is a bit of an outlier. It's not a bit of he's an outlier at the position. Do we have to make some really tough decisions there? That's where I would start. I think what they tried to do, based on the reports, is they tried to go the places you mentioned, but if you read it wrong, you then maybe are getting rid of a player that is great for your franchise, is still playing at a really high level, that you would pay more for in terms of trying to get an equal player on the market who, by the way, may not become available to you. So, yeah, I think that's the real challenge. But to answer your question directly, I'd start at running back.
Okay, so let's come back to my original question. You're in that room, and let's say the consensus in the room is to tell Mike Vrabel, okay, Coach, I got to tell you, you just listed off the teams. You heard Tim, Jets, added to the list of the guys we already know are in there, the Chiefs, the Bills, etc. You got 6 or 7 deep before you get down into the possibility that the Titans, on paper, are in that conversation. I think it's time we got to retool some things. How does Mike Vrabel take that? Can he take that? And we know he's got a lot of clout. He's got a lot of say in that decision. But if the consensus in the room is, look, let's be practical here. We need to take the step back to take the 2 or 3 steps forward to get back into this conversation. How does he take that?
Well, I believe that, that essentially, I think the move that probably bought him time was, John Robinson getting let go. Because I think basically, let's assume, and I think we all kind of are assuming that basically there's between Vrabel and Robinson, that basically was like, hey, this direction that he's taking us is not good for our franchise. We're going the wrong direction, right? I mean, I think, and Vrabel wins, right? I mean, I think we all kind of see it that way. Fair?
Mm-hmm.
Like we agree on that, right? Well, I think that has bought him time. Meaning, like, hey, we fired our general manager because of some of these moves that have put us back. So now we're not going to – we can't completely rebuild. There's not enough time for that for anybody. So how do we just kind of flip the direction that we're on? And I think that's where Derrick Henry becomes like a really big thing. I think that's why you maybe – see if Kevin Byers' desire to play, his entire career in Tennessee, is enough for him to say, like, all right, I'll make this a little more team friendly to make you be able to go do other things. Like, I think that's what's happening. Like, I don't think they, don't know that Kevin Byers is still a really good player. I think they're trying to make some really hard decisions with, all right, can we kind of tap into his desire, being somebody that played college ball here, has been loved by this community, has tapped into this community, wants to be here. Can we tap into that? I mean, that might, I don't know that for sure, but that would be what I would guess is happening.
I think the toughest thing for me, if I'm Mike Vrabel, knowing that, number one, he's such a competitor, and number two, he's now in this conversation. He's in a collaboration with Rand Carthon. But as the coach, isn't it hard to separate yourself as the coach? It's hard to accept, we're asking you to kind of go into battle next year, maybe without a Byard, without a Derrick Henry. We're talking about your heart and soul kind of guys for the good of the long term. When as the coach, most of the time the coach doesn't last through rebuilds like that. But he's kind of got the clout to do it. That's a tough dilemma. That's where it's hard to separate, I think, being the coach from being the GM.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you on that. And I think, Vrabel's challenge is going to be, look, because of this move last year during the season, the question ends up being now, like, I think he's got a year where, like, hey, maybe they're the 500 team next year, but then the pressure's going to be on him. Like, everyone's going to forget, like, oh, hey, we kind of found ourselves in the situation because, rather than paying A.J. Brown, you traded him away. And rather than, like, people are going to be moved on from that by then. I think he has a year where it's like, look, they've got to replenish. But I think beyond a year, then the pressure to win is going to mount. So I think you're looking at a 2-year window if you're the head coach. I think if you're Rand Carthon, I think you maybe feel like your window is, 3 or 4 years. So, I mean, that's how I see that scenario.
ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck joining us, as he does every week. Appreciate you, Tim. We'll chat with you next week.
Sounds good. See you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. Hey, beat caller 3 right now to win a pair of 4-day passes to Louder Than Life Festival in Louisville, Kentucky on September 21st through 24th. Artists performing include Foo Fighters, Weezer, Rancid, Tool, Godsmack, Limp Bizkit, Green Day, and more. Tickets are on sale now. Good luck with that. And coming up next, the Predators, bad loss in New York, but they came right back against Buffalo, and the young guys have absolutely shined. We'll break all that down coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
It's a busy week in Smashville.
Johnny scores! Roman Yossi! Shot stopped by Sarah. And the score!
Your Nashville Predators continue to fight for points in a tough Western Conference. Plus, they'll also honor a legend on Saturday by unveiling Pecorine's statue.
His shot stopped by Pecorine.
My relationship with the fans, this city, means the world to me.
We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
It's baseball time in Hit City. The Nashville Sounds take the field Friday, March 31st for opening weekend against the Louisville Bats. Enjoy Friday fireworks, live music Saturday, and kids round the bases on Sunday. Grab your tickets today at NashvilleSounds.com.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture, eat strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
For one day only, Saturday, March 25th, get 5+ acres and a new cabin package on sale for only $69.9 during the Nashville Acreage Grand Opening Land Sale. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get the best of both worlds. Flat, usable, prime Nashville acreage with the biggest and most spectacular ridgeline views in the entire Nashville area. Priced below market prices. Come explore this recreational paradise and make your dreams of owning exceptional Nashville acreage a reality for less. With 5+ acres and a new cabin package for just $69.9. Best of all, these properties include first-class infrastructure like county water, electric, and county road frontage. All huge advantages in today's market. Appointment times are filling up fast. Call now to book your private tour. 615-437-6348. That's 615-437-6348. Cabin kit package for materials only. Delivered to site by third party. Taxes and delivery not included. Prices subject to change without notice or obligation. Call for complete details. An equal housing opportunity.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
You are talking about a team that's building a roster.
Chase and Michelle 9 to 11.
He's still under contract.
It's not always X's and O's.
Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase 11 to 2.
Trades, free agents.
Let's get it going. I think this is a good hire.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
I can give you one of the best coaches in the league.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Nashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
This is Greg McElroy, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
What do you make of this new direction for the Predators? Some of the young guys that have stepped in, like Luke Evangelista, who had 4 points last night, and the path forward now for Barry Trotz as he prepares to take over coming up on July 1st.
Yeah, things don't seem as bleak as they might have been when all of those moves were made. When you also include the fact that Philip Forsberg hasn't played in about a month, at least, or over a month, and Ryan Johansson has also been missing. I know that the Predators have sort of hit the skids recently. They did have a big win last night against the Sabres, but before that they had dropped 3 in a row. The only thing I think really keeping the Predators in this race is the fact that the Flames and the Jets also can't win consistently, though both of those teams did win last night, so the standings didn't change in terms of points and everything like that. So, I from afar, I've been somewhat encouraged by what I've seen, particularly from the younger players. If you mentioned Luke Evangelista had a huge game last night. I thought he was the first rookie to have a 4-point game for the Predators since Dan Hanhuse, like 20 years ago almost. Oh, yeah. And I also saw that he tied the franchise record for most points in the period. Philip Forsberg had 4 points in the period last season. Actually, exactly 1 year apart. It was 1 year ago yesterday that Forsberg had his 4-point performance in the period against the Ducks. So I thought that was interesting too.
There you go. That was Adam Vingan on Robbie and Rexroad this morning. And hey, Preds fans, don't miss tonight's Smashville live show at Brewhouse South in Cool Springs starting at 6 o'clock tonight. You can see your Predator star players up close and personal, plus get autographs and pictures. Tonight, the Preds player guests are Alexander Carrier and Jeremy Lozon. Smashville Live is brought to you by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, Little Harpeth Beer, Superbook Sports, and Dulce Vita Tequila, pure and simple. What I've noticed from this Predators team since the trade deadline, since some of these young guys have come up, there doesn't seem to be anything that phases this team. A couple hard road losses, you lose on Saturday night in overtime, and then you 7-0 loss in New York. I mean, rough game for the Predators. And they turn around and bounce back, drop 7 on the Buffalo Sabres, and the young guys are shining while doing it. It just seems like, hey, we're not fazed by anything. We'll get pushed back a couple steps. We'll come right back fighting. I mean, Luke Evangelista with a massive game against Buffalo, and Tommy Novak, over the past couple of weeks has been consistently showing up in the box score. This team, it just seems like there's just so much energy and it's just so much more fun to watch with some of these young guys, and they're consistently producing. It's not just the energy, it's showing up on the scoreboard as well.
It did last night, that's for sure. That was, I thought, a good test for them because the game, let's go back to Saturday. Well, let's even go back to Thursday. They lost to the Blackhawks. And that was the game where everybody was like, well, wait, whoa. They were on this roll.
What are we doing there?
How'd you lose to the Blackhawks? It does happen. Like Montreal beat Tampa last night. I mean, there's always one or two of those. But it was like, man, they just didn't have their A game. But it was a little bit of a reality check of where they are with the depth, et cetera. They're still missing a lot of guys. They're missing 5 regulars that otherwise would be in there. Then they come back, and I thought they played their guts out against the Jets on Saturday in a huge head-to-head. If they're serious about being in the race, that was a massive game. And the Jets, it took everything they had, with basically a healthy roster, to beat the Predators without all those guys. And they lost Roman Josi after the first period. That's a lot to ask. Then they'd have to turn around and play the Rangers the next night, and that's where it kind of cratered on them. They didn't have Josi. They didn't have McDonough, and they weren't ready for that. Rangers came out of the gate firing on all cylinders. They just overwhelmed them. So I thought last night was a really good test. What are you made of now? Well, they get McDonough back. I thought that was huge. Like, they felt so much better about their chances last night just because they had him, his presence, what he means. And he's a guy that goes so much more beyond the value of his statistics. Last night was a great example, although he even scored last night. He doesn't score very many. He scored last night, had an assist, played a great game. And then the young guys got it going again. So that was a really good test for them. So you're looking for areas where these young guys get tested and they hopefully grow up a little bit more, and you see them play meaningful games down the stretch, and you sort of evaluate. If you're Barry Trotz long-term, you're saying, all right, where can this guy be, Luke Evangelista, in another year or two? Is he a guy I can count on as being a core guy? Can he be a top 6 guy year after year? The more he plays games like that, the more you're saying, you may have something here. He's a second-round pick. Tommy Novak was a fourth-round pick, and he's, I think, a fourth-round pick, and he had another really good game last night. He's played at about a point per game for a long stretch now. I mean, that's top 6 kind of numbers. You've got him for $800,000 next year. So they have They've reconfigured their salary cap. We're going forward. They have more flexibility. They have room to add pieces. They've accumulated a ton of draft picks that they haven't even scratched yet. And they've got a very good farm system that you're starting to see. So I think what the retool has done, it depends on what your expectations are. If you're saying, can they make the playoffs this year? I still think it's a bit of a long shot. They're not out of it. These next 2 games against Seattle are really important. It's like a little mini playoff series. Again, a great test. How does Novak play? How does Evangelista play? How does Tomasino play in these games where they mean something? If you win them, all of a sudden Winnipeg is going to be looking over their shoulder a little bit. Even the Kraken. If Nashville were to win both games in regulation, it'd only be 3 points behind the Kraken with a game in hand. So the Kraken would even have to take some note. But the biggest thing is, hey, how do they do? You're playing games that mean something. You're not just playing out the string here. And so that's a credit. And then the other question is, will you ever get any of these other guys back? Yossi, Forsberg. Forsberg's missed 19 games now. That's almost a quarter of the season he's missed now. And still don't know when he's coming back. Parsonen, another really important guy, another young guy that you'd love to have play. Carrier, these are guys you'd love to have in there.
The part that I like about all of this, even Duchesne showed up last night.
Desperately
2
need him
goals,
to play like that last night. He was much better.
Moving forward, you need a guy like that because of the guys that are injured. You need guys like that are veteran guys to step up while the younger guys are sort of still finding their way, and you have that energy. You need to play off that energy as older guys, whether it's McDonough or Duchesne in this situation. But what I like about where they are as a team is this team. I can see if they were just completely out of the playoffs and it was like, man, hell, we ain't got nothing to lose. Let these young guys, and the young guys are like, man, we're here now. Let's just play, because whether we win or lose, it doesn't matter. Well, I think they still believe that these young guys, like, man, we're only 3 points out. Like, we got an opportunity here. If we keep winning and things fall the right way, we can find ourselves in the playoffs.
It's not impossible.
It's not impossible. It's far, but it's not impossible. And these young guys, even though they, prior to this last game, they were on a little bit of a slump, they came out and they showed energy. Now, listen, the Sabres, they've given up, 32 goals in 18 periods, somewhere around there at home.
They score a bunch and give up a bunch.
But they give up a bunch.
But the important thing to remember about them, they're a team that still was talking about getting into the playoffs this year. So it's not like they've mailed it in. They're not playing very well. Like, their young guys are not responding right now at all.
And that's what I like. The Predators' young guys are responding. And in their mind, I think they still believe we got a chance. And if we manage to get in the playoffs somehow, some way, that speaks loudly to what or where this organization is potentially headed with all of these young guys.
It really is like, those paddles that you have in an ambulance, and you like rub them together and you go clear, and then boom, and then like somebody's just brought back to life. Like, that's what the young guys are. Those little electronic paddles that just brings you back to life. That's what at least it's felt like. And Willie, you hit on something that I didn't even hit on. In addition to a couple of tough losses, you also lost a lot of your key veteran players. So it's getting knocked down, a rough loss against New York. And look, I didn't expect this team to beat New York. New York is a good team that's going for it. They made a push. They bought at the deadline. I didn't expect it to be 7-0. I didn't expect them to beat New York. But it was getting knocked down against New York, losing some of their key players, losing the veterans, the leaders on the team to injury, and you're able to still come back and play well. It is a test. Now, I'm not going to say that, this team is going to be scoring 7 points a game every single game, because that's just not realistic. But the comeback and the belief in the team that will get knocked down but will come right back up. That's the young guy philosophy and the young guy life breathed into this team so far.
The next thing too is, how is Roman Josi? It's really hard to know, because it's hard to tell exactly what happened with Roman Josi. When pressed, and I think it was Dan Rosen from NHL.com, is a really good national writer who covers really the teams in the New York area. But you got 3 teams there, so between the 3, you're covering a lot of teams that come through. He's always very diligent about following up and asking coaches. And so John Hines was like, well, we're still not quite sure because, Roman Josi stayed home. So he's not checking on Roman every hour. Obviously, if you knew he was going to be back in the next game or two, that would give you a lot more hope of staying in this thing a little bit longer. If you knew he was going to be out for the next week, 2 weeks, and I don't know what it's going to be, that might change the picture a little bit. So tomorrow, I think when they arrive at the rink, how Roman Josi will be something everybody's looking at. But, that's one. And then, the Forsberg thing, we talked about it. It's just so frustrating. I know for him more than anybody else. But when you have what happened to him happen, sometimes there just can't. When they say no timetable, that's what they meant. I mean, we're going way back. That was the second game after the All-Star break that he went down.
It's been over a month.
And so it just the symptoms are still obviously still there to the point where he has not been able to ramp it up and get close to playing in a game. So we don't know when that's going to happen. Same thing with Parson. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was a late-night game.
Yeah.
He went through a real awkward fall, and you could tell he kind of lost the feeling in his arm. It was really scary to him for a moment. Then he got up, and the next day it was like, well, hopefully this will work itself out, and he'll be back in a couple of years. He's missed now 13 games. So it's just frustrating. I'd love to see what this team would look like now with these young guys and the guys that are still on the roster but haven't been able to play now for weeks. Like Johansson's another one. He's now been gone for we know he's out for the rest of the season. But it'd be cool to see what it'll all look like with everybody. So I was even doing a depth chart for next year and taking a look. And, with some salary cap space to work with, some young guys coming in, you're like, okay, this doesn't have to be a full rebuild at all. Like they've got some options on how they want to attack next year.
Predators in action tomorrow night at home, hosting Ellie Tolvanen, the Seattle Kraken, a little 2-game homestand against the Kraken on Thursday.
Yes, Mr. Tolvanen.
And Saturday.
Mr. Tolvanen. We'll be watching him, won't we? Yes, we will.
Hey, Preds fans, hang out tomorrow night before the Preds game at the Superbook Lounge and Landshark Bar and Grill Margaritaville on Broadway with 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. You can place your bets with Superbook and enjoy great food and drink specials, plus enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Coming up next, I got to give the suit a hard time. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The crowd is standing on its feet. It's in the hole! It's in the hole!
Join 102.5 The Game for the second annual Music City Celebrity Golf Tournament, benefiting Souls for Souls, June 7th at Hermitage Golf Course. Put your team together and come play with athletes, musicians, and other local celebs.
See the ball.
Support a great cause and have loads of fun. Plus, you'll have the chance to win awesome prizes. Sign up to play, sponsor, or donate at thegamenashville.com/golf.
Men, I know you're out there, so listen up. I need to tell you something about Cool Springs MD. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge, along with his wife Daphne, and that experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life. Cool Springs MD services have already helped many men of Brentwood, Nashville, and the surrounding areas in Tennessee with improving their immune systems, energy levels, cognitive functions, and more. They're there to connect you with the medical care you require to have a healthy and enriched life. There's no better time now to achieve a healthy lifestyle. So what are you waiting for, men? Give Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment. Here's the number. Pull it up in your phone because I know you got it locked in. And if you don't, lock it in. 615-486-3458. That's 615-486-3458. Or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Al Gill here from my friends at Dunkin'. Warm up and feel the love with Dunkin'. Treat yourself and a loved one to a brown butter toffee hot or iced latte, which is superb paired with the bacon avocado tomato sandwich. Be sure to try the all-new stuffed biscuit bites. It's a warm biscuit dough wrapped around a mixture of bacon, scrambled egg, and cheddar cheese. Visit us at our newly remodeled Dunkin' on Briley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and our other locations throughout Middle Tennessee. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Hey, Willie Donick here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And a $50,000 loan would only cost you around $400 a month. Use that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or do a home improvement. You can access up to 90% of your home's equity and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees. Call Loan Pronto today. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
He's got big takes.
It's not that freaking hard. Hand the ball to Henry.
Small takes.
You have to defend your decision.
But all takes.
They win, they lose. Just invested a lot into this game. I thought it was the worst press conference.
He is Jared Stillman.
I guess I'm just not a very good coach, Jared.
Weekdays from 2 to 6, Stillman and Company. Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This week's Nashville Best Deal of the Week is Eastside Bowl in Madison. This week, get 2 hours of bowling plus shoe rentals for up to 6 people for just $45. That is 2 full hours of bowling plus shoes for up to 6 people for just $45 at Eastside Bowl in Madison. Go to thegamenashville.com/deals to get yours now. Vandy basketball in action tonight at home Memorial Gym. Tip at 6 o'clock against UAB. Win this one and you are headed to Vegas for an NIT championship bid.
I will say this like I have many times before. I know the NIT is not the spotlight that the NCAA is, and it never will be. But if you can win the whole thing, which I was a part of a team that did, it's pretty special to win a 32-team tournament. That's pretty cool. And this is a game tonight that will be really interesting. Some people from afar might say, well, all they got to do is beat UAB. If you take a look, the line is even. It's gonna, and this game is in Vanderbilt, in Vanderbilt's den, Memorial Gym, where they've been pretty good. So that tells you how good UAB is, 27-win team. So that's going to be really good. We had a great conversation with Jerry Stackhouse yesterday on, how they've continued to move forward after getting snubbed by the NCAA committee. To their credit, they keep going. And we had a great conversation with Nick McDevitt, the head coach at Middle Tennessee, who beat UAB and beat Florida Atlantic. Out of that same league, Conference USA, Florida Atlantic's got Tennessee tomorrow night in the Sweet 16. And so the matchup that we got to watch, Jelly Walker, one of the best players in the Conference USA over the last 2 years. I said, Coach, does he have the green light? He says, it's a neon green light. 333 three-point attempts. 333, that's just three-point attempts. He also gets to the free throw line a bunch, and he shoots a lot of twos as well. So he's going to have the ball a lot. Ezra Magnon, who's had a great year, he's been one of the best stories on the team. He's gotten better from day one till now. He's a great on-ball defender. That's the matchup to watch for tonight.
Can I say it again?
Yes.
Ezra, he might get jellied.
Oh, no. Well, here's my thought about Vandy tonight. Of course, I will be rooting for Jerry Stackhouse and Vanderbilt tonight. Of course, I will be rooting for Vanderbilt to get to Vegas and to win it all. 100%, I think we're all behind them. But I think right now, Vanderbilt already proved to me everything that I needed to see this season in the regular season. If Vanderbilt goes on to win the NIT, great. Outstanding. Wonderful. And that'll be a trophy to add to the trophy case. But the SEC has been more competitive, a more competitive basketball league than it has been in a really long time. I would say it's safe to say the SEC was the most competitive conference in all of college basketball this year. And Vanderbilt, in the latter half of the season, looked really good in it. They beat Kentucky twice. They made it as far in the SEC tournament as they did. This being such a competitive league and Vanderbilt looking as good as they did in this league, I think proved to me all that I needed to see from Vanderbilt. Everything else from now on, moving forward in the NIT, all that's supplemental, and all of that is fun, and it's good postseason experience, and it's fun to go on the road with the team and to watch this team continue to compete against teams across the country. But for me, Vandy proved to me all they needed to prove, and that's the most, in a positive way. I mean that in a completely positive way.
Well, this will be the last home game they get, right? So I think what they've done since, let's just say the low point. They lost to Grambling. They were 7-6 in the preseason going into the SEC, and you're like, okay, where's it going here? Right? It's you're supposed to be a little bit better here. Wait a minute, they don't have Scottie Pippen back. Are they going to crater here? You know, there were people going, hey, I need to see more, and I didn't blame any Vanderbilt fan. You're hungry. It's been a while since they've had success.
Be good.
Yes, and so to their credit, they have really improved, and they've added some momentum, some fire back. There's an excitement when they play now. The fan base is energized. And I think if you're Jerry Stackhouse, and remember we talked to Nick McDevitt about this yesterday, how difficult it is year to year to A, keep your players, and B, look around and see how you're recruiting. You know, you can go get a guy out of this, what did he say, 1,700 kids in the portal?
Yeah.
1,700. That's not even the high school players, the junior college players. These are all just players that want to transfer. So I think now Vanderbilt's a little bit more of a school where you're like, hey, Jerry Stackhouse has got something going over there. Maybe I want to take a look at that, you know, with transfers and high school kids. So hopefully he's got some momentum where he's going to keep building a higher level of talent on his roster. Because we know this, guys get better when they play for him. Scottie Pippen improved a ton from the time he got there, from the time he left. Tyron Lawrence is a great example. He gets better every year. He's averaging like 20 points a game the last 5, 6, 7 games. Ezra Magnon, great example of a guy that gets better. So I think he's got something going that hopefully will be a little magnetic, that will continue to get good players.
Well, this team finished, albeit it was tied, but they finished 4th in their division, in a division that was probably the toughest division in all of college basketball. They started off, slow, but they picked it up toward the end. They had some really good wins toward the end of the season. And I can't, like you, Caroline, whether they win it or not, I hope they do, but whether they win it or not, it's not going to change what I think of Vanderbilt and what they can potentially be next season.
I'm already impressed.
Yeah.
Before we go, I have to give the suit a hard time before he heads off to Vegas. Saying Derrick Henry's not elite yesterday. I heard that, and I dropped my phone that was in my hand.
You said it.
Shame on you, Chase
it,
McCabe. Derrick Henry's not elite. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow at Central Barbecue at 11 a.m. Stillman and Company is up next.
Peace.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.